All right, good morning, friends on the CITIUS Mag YouTube channel. There's so many people watching, and action hasn't even gotten underway. I'm Chris Chavez, joined by my team members here. We've got 352 miler, former, still world record holder, 2 world records, Kyle Merber of the lap count in the house. We've got former All-American at the University of Colorado, pro runner for Team Boss, Sara in the house. Sara, good to have you here. And then we've got the man who's been producing viral clips all weekend, Eric Jenkins, World Championship qualifier, Millrose Games champion, Fifth Avenue Mile champion, and now here to provide all of your analysis, your jokes. Eric, how you feeling? It's race day.
It's race day. I'm fired up. Unbelievable day, great conditions, perfect viewing conditions. It's going to be a lot of fun. The day's here.
So for all the talk about the weather, what are your thoughts?
Great spectating weather. I would say that, look, if it started 2 hours earlier, would they run faster? Probably. It'll be a nice first half, and I think in the second half it might get a little bit toasty. But, you know, we can make it work. The spectators are definitely happy.
Yeah, so race is going to get underway in less than half an hour. Sara, how would you describe the nerves of a professional runner at this point? Like Kyle, you said you'd be throwing up.
This is totally electric. It's electric. You know, getting down here, seeing everybody going out for their run this morning, the atmosphere, the hype, everything the entire time in Orlando has just been, 10 out of 10, just taken up a notch.
I think the big thing this morning is how difficult it is just to navigate getting around. I mean, the amount of security checkpoints, it seems like you can only cross the street once every 2 miles. No matter what credential you have. We were talking to our friends from the USATF and USOPC, and they were having a hard time crossing the street. There are so many people here just absolutely buzzing with excitement. The number of people out on the street just running this morning, I thought that I'd missed the race. It's an incredible community here, and it's only getting more and more packed as we're getting closer to start.
So a reminder for people who are tuning in and how things work when we do these CITIUS Mag watch-alongs is that we actually won't be showing any part of the race, no visuals from the course whatsoever. We're going to be bringing you all of our own analysis. We're going to be hitting you with some splits, some reactions. I'm ready to lose my mind. So to remind people a little bit, we've touched on the weather. The next big talking point leading into this race has been the qualifying. So Kyle, a quick refresher for people who maybe haven't studied up on, the ins and outs of how to make the Olympic team for Paris.
Yeah, I guess I should point to the sign behind your head, a little bit of a pace chart for reference out.
Not this one.
The broadcast, not the other. That is just for fun. And that might change at some point.
It might.
But no, he doesn't have a shot. But we have a few different ways to get in. But the most important thing is, if you can finish the top 3, you're probably good.
For sure.
In terms of whether it's the Olympic standard or the ranking on the men's side, it's very confusing. You got to be top 3. Essentially, there's spots that need to be unlocked. There's 2 times to know, the 2:08.10 for the men and the 2:26.50 for the women. Those spots can then be reallocated to other athletes who have run under 2:11.30 or 2:29.30. So if you have not run under 2:11.30 or have not run under 2:29.30, then you really have no shot of making it. Yeah. You're not going to be eligible to get one of those reallocated spots. There's 17 men who have it, and I believe 18 women who have run under those times. But I think the important thing to note about those times is the odds are they're not going to jog. Because those athletes who are here today that want to make the team and haven't run those paces know I need to be under that. Even if he or she wins the race, and if they have not gone under at some point while the window is open, 2:11.30 or 2:29.30, then they're not going, and there's nothing we can do about it.
So knowing all of that, Eric, how do you think the dramatics of this race are going to play out? Because there are people who need those times, and based off past races, CJ Albertson, the way he raced in Boston, or Paul Chalima, how he's raced on the track, they're going to go for it. Yeah,
I think Paul Chalima and his coach put out that they're going for that. They're going for 2:08.10, and these are going to be. I love hearing that. It's going to be fast, and with these conditions out here, it's gonna be brutal. I mean, if guys go out there and try and run with Chalimo and get that 208 time, there's going to be carnage. There's going to be people blowing up, which is great for us. Bad for them. Sucks to do that.
But this is an entertainment product.
But it's really, and just looking at the course, it's a spectator's course. I mean, it is. They're doing, there's a few longer loops, and they're coming right by us. It's going to be really fun. It's set up perfectly for spectators today.
I think it's a very fun thing to think about that half marathon and just like the X factor of qualifying through the half. It used to be like 65 minutes got in, and look, like if you ran 64:59, your shot not great. No. But on the men's side, having to run under 63, on the women's side 72, you are now like that is a faster time than the marathon equivalent. Like a 63, which it's like, hey, if you're not going to go the full distance, then we need to see something more elevated and faster than otherwise. And so we're bringing these athletes who are complete wild cards and X factors. And, we've had discussions of whether or not we like it. But I love it because it gives an opportunity for those track athletes like Paul Chalimo, Fiona O'Keefe, Natasha Rogers, who otherwise would not have been here to come in, be part of the conversation. And then, look, Molly Seidel made her debut in 2020. That worked out.
Yeah, so Sara, you've raced a bunch of these people before. Who are you looking to keep that women's race honest?
I am really, really excited to see what Emily Sisson does in particular. We've known her to go to the front, push the pace, run super, super boldly and fearlessly, and go it alone if that's what it comes to. So I'm intrigued to see if Emily Sisson will be the one to keep the pace really honest and put her foot to the gas, or if we're going to see that from perhaps one of these that got in with the half marathon time and needs to see what they're able to do in the full marathon in order to potentially lock up a spot on the team. And something else that I was thinking about, kind of in light of some comments that Kyle made last night about perhaps some underrated athletes because they're coming in without that flashy seed time, but they've placed really, really well on the world level. I'm curious to know how you think some of those athletes will be in the mix and what they'll be doing, to maybe put a faster time next to their name.
Yeah, you're still beating the Lindsay Flanagan drum.
Yeah, I'm Zach Panning and Lindsay Flanagan are maybe the two picks that, and they're not dark horses, I don't think that's fair to say, but it's two athletes that I think have a really fair shot that are being undervalued. Look, like someone coming in 18th place and running fast does not impress me. And then like a fast course, just running fast but getting beat by a lot of people, but to be competing and running really fast with athletes who have run really fast as well, to me that shows promise. And when you take a look, and I've made this argument a couple times here and I'm going to keep making it, when you take a look at who Zach Panning is finishing next to all around him at the World Champs and Lindsay Flanagan, we're looking at them as if they're 209 and 224 athletes, and we should be looking at them as if they are 207 and 220 athletes. And then all of a sudden, I think a lot more people would have them in the conversation.
All right, so before the action gets underway shortly, let's refresh some people on our picks and I guess where we've left off since last night. So 2 days ago, I really haven't had that many changes to mine. I went with the most boring sort of picks where my athletes are just kind of like the top seeded athletes. So I'm going with Emily Sisson, Kira D'Amato, Betsy Sena on the women's side. And on the men's side, I've got Connor Mantz, Galen Rupp, Scott Fauble. I didn't change my mind. Clayton was really nice to me, but I'm still keeping him off my top three. But this could change, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. So, Kyle, have you wavered on anything?
But I would say that if something has changed, so my picks real quick are Rupp, Mantz, Panning, and then Betsy Sena, Emily Sisson, and Lindsay Flanagan. And I would say if there's anything that has kind of changed in my mind the last couple of days, just hearing the whispers, it's like I've never been more sure that Galen Rupp is just obviously going to win this thing.
Yeah, you are pretty dead set on it.
I just don't see a world in which anyone beats him. I've said the only way he gets beat is if he drops out.
Right.
And
it's all or nothing.
This is a guy who has 2 Olympic medals. He's won this race twice before. And I just think if he is healthy, which he seems to be, and all indications and words that we've heard is that he is fit and ready to go, I just don't see in a tactical race that is like a true race how anyone is going to outsmart him or outrun him. And look, I think he's got the best mile time in the field as well. So, if it really comes down to it, which I'm pretty sure it's generally more strength oriented, but if we need that speedy kick, he's got it.
Do you envision the same thing, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, Galen's just got so much experience, and he's so you can feel it right now. This isn't a regular race. This is the Olympic trials. This is something that he's won before twice, and that experience definitely makes a difference. These runners right now, the nerves right now are really high. There are guys who are definitely talented enough, who are fit enough to make the team, who are mentally taking themselves out of the race at this point because they're just too nervous and they're going to be overwhelmed by the moment. And that's something that Galen's not going to be doing.
Just side question: can you find it again, in the middle of the race, or once? I've never been an elite athlete, but when you get to that point, all right, you take yourself out of it on the starting line, but 4 miles in, can you find it?
Yeah, you'd be able. I mean, the marathon is unique in that it's so much time out there. There's so much time to kind of get in your head. There's a lot of time to, you can go from a good day to a bad day really quick, and then you can see guys and girls out there who go through rough stretches in a race and can. Hopefully, if they're talented and if they're strong-willed, they can kind of regain that composure and get back up into the race. So yeah, that's definitely possible. But like I said, it's this is the moment. This is the race that they've been thinking about every single day, every single run. They've been talking about it. They've been, preparing for it, and now it's finally here. And they're, warming up. They're doing strides. It's about to start, and they're nervous. There's just some guys out there who are gonna be a little bit probably overwhelmed and let the moment get away from them.
One thing I feel, though, from the conversations we had with some of the pros yesterday is Scott Fauble isn't one of those guys who's putting as much stock into this race, and I think it's a freeing feeling that he's been chasing. It's sort of making the Olympics would be sweet, and that's what our sport builds itself around. But he's had really good races, and he's got tons to be proud of. Sara, you've got the inside scoop here. Is that a team boss sort of mentality that Joe and Emma kind of have instilled in people? It's don't get so fixated on just the outcome. And I guess Scott's running with so much weight off his shoulders, I feel compared to where he was 4 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that the team environment really cultivates is excellence is something that you practice every single day, right? And kind of to Eric's point, experience comes from knowing, hey, I might feel bad for a moment, I might feel good for a moment, and I'm out here confident in my training, confident in what I've done to prepare, and nothing is really going to shake my belief that I can make this team and I'm an excellent athlete. And so I do think that that's, something that starts with self-belief and, permeates into team culture as well. And so I think sometimes when you see an athlete who really does have that quiet confidence, that true belief, hey, I belong on this team. And if I don't get there, that's been the goal that's been in mind this entire time. That's what I've been working towards. That's the passion that's firing everything that I'm doing and driving what I'm doing, driving those hard training sessions, getting you through every long run in the snow, whatever it may be. However, that belief that you've given absolutely everything that you can, whether it's in preparation for the race and then again on race day, I think ultimately that's all that you can do as a competitor. And so I am excited to see, really, really excited to see what Scott brings today, and I'm really confident it will be his best and it will be a really excellent day for him. I
liked Des Linden's Instagram, the bib number beforehand. She just said house money. And I do think that there's an element of the people who are not, this is not the make or break. If they don't make the team, it's on the end of their world. They've been here before, or the people who at least have that mindset, because it just takes a little bit of pressure off. So Avi's gonna make it again.
Yeah, I mean, Des is had such a storied career. It's at the you come to these trials and for her, I mean, how many more do you have? So it's you've got to enjoy it. This could be, if this is your last one, you don't want to go out there and not enjoy it and not have fun. So.
That's why it up. I feel you can replicate that mentality by trying to position yourself as the underdog. Whereas if you're hey, if I don't win or if I don't make it, the day was a failure. And if you convince yourself, I'm the underdog, like no one's even expecting that, then I feel like you can take that weight off and come in with that levity that someone who had already done this before has.
So we touched on the men's race. I guess on the women's side, like we're just setting up for like a clash of titans here. It feels like we haven't had Kira versus Emily before in a marathon, and like in order for that to happen, yeah, I mean like at other races, appearance fees, and you factor in all these schedules, but everyone has to show up to the U.S. marathon trials to qualify for the Paris Games. So what are you looking forward to the most at the front end of the race when it comes to just seeing these all-time greats finally go head-to-head?
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see if anyone who we're like throwing out as potential favorites does anything for the first half of the race. Because it really is like, it's not an all or nothing. You want to win, but ultimately it's about qualifying, right? Like this is a qualifying race, and whether that's third or first, you're going to get an opportunity to go and, you know, you get another 6-month training block in order to do it. And so for someone like Emily Sisson, is it really worth trying to run away from this field at any point, except when you know that you have it in the bag? It's like, you might as well wait until you've like made it through 5 bottles before taking any chances. And so it really is up to those outside of the favorites, and I think particularly those who have not run the 2:29:30 or the 2:11:30 mark, to keep things honest in the beginning.
I mean, if you're the top 3 women, why would you go out in these conditions and make it a hard race from the start?
Because
like you said,
in 2021.
But they all have the foot speed to if it comes down. I mean, if it comes down to a kick.
Oh man.
I mean, I wouldn't see them at the front pushing it hard. Let the other ones that need the time, do a little bit of the work, and then you come in and pick up.
I just want to draw attention to like the difference behind your head right now of like Emily Sisson's American record is 5:16 pace. 2:29:30 is like a time that a lot of people, only 18 of the women have run in this window. That is a different world of fitness.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like there's a big draw. Like it really is a clash of the titans with the women. It's going to be really tough. If Emily Sisson is in her best shape, I mean, it's going to take a huge effort to beat that.
Imagine running like 30 seconds slower than race pace. You're jogging, like that's easy day. Like you're that.
I mean, maybe there's something to that too, right? Like sometimes I think we see athletes who perhaps don't need to push the pace, but it's just naturally more comfortable for them. They've been training at these paces. Their marathon pace is just a slightly different rhythm. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone who, not even because they get antsy or impatient, but just because it's sort of uncomfortable, it's not their rhythm, and they're just ready to get going. Maybe not from the gun, as Eric said, but we wait a few minutes, we kind of get the nerves out on the small 2.2 mile loop, and then once we hit the 8 mile loop, we're like, okay, we might as well get going.
Yeah, that 2.2 mile loop is going to be the fun part, where it's just like, all right, we're here. Let's kind of just set the tone. And then I think once we start hitting the 8 mile loops is when it's going to get crazy. I'm just like, you kind of throwing out the idea of a sprint finish. I'm trying to just even wrap my head around like each one of these loops, like how many, when we get down to the final one, if we still have like 8 or 10 women in it, it's going to be absurd. Oh.
Yeah, if there's still 8 or 10 women in it with the end.
One lap to go.
One lap to go. That
so
I'd be pretty surprised about that.
Oof.
I do think the men's side seems so much more wide open, and part of that is that they're not as good as the women. Yeah. Like ultimately, at the depth chart isn't there compared to the women, and so like. I feel like the majority of people are really thinking about the same 5 or 6 women who would potentially be in that conversation. Because again, it's going to take. I'm not saying that they're definitely going to run under 220, but to make this team, you are in sub 220 shape.
Yeah.
Like there's no which way about it. We know that because so many of these women have run that pace recently in race, and that's just kind of a cutoff mark. Whereas the men's side, it's like, hey, if you're in 209 shape, like that might make it. And then all of a sudden in the conversation is 20 guys, and it's wide open. And I think someone can come out of nowhere, really be that dark horse, someone that we're not talking about, and like completely sweep everyone away.
Yeah, well, if it's really fast and really honest from the gun, on the guy side, and you have guys going with that pace, and you have other, like Jared Ward was a master tactician and ran his race and would be able to pick off guys. There could be, guys that do that today and just run the smarter race and maybe pick up and that third spot doing it that way.
Yeah, and it's like the decision will be if someone does go out really fast. Like, are we just going to all run as a pack and run hard until there's 3 of us left? Or is there going to be jostling? Are people going to die and come back? Are you going to let people go? Are you going to have that confidence? Like, you have to be damn confident to let people run away from you and be in like 30th place and seeing them go faster if you truly think you're in top 3 shape.
We have over 2,000 people watching live with us on YouTube. Let's get the chat active all throughout the show. We want to hear your top 3. We want to hear your hot takes. I see we sometimes have celebs pop into the chat. We got Nikki Hiltz, the U.S. 1500 meter champion, is watching along with us. So the broadcast should be starting fairly soon on Peacock. So the best way to watch is pull that up on your TV, have us on your computer or your iPad or your phone, and watch along with us as we give you all of our insights and analysis for the next 2.5 hours, basically. It's going to be, I wanted to start already.
I'm nervous. Yeah, I mean, it's just been months and months of build up to this one moment. I really don't think that there's anything like this in, like, no other country has a trials like this that gets as much hype.
This big?
I mean, look, people in Europe in the chat are trying to figure out how to watch. Someone tell them.
Yeah.
But if you can't figure it out, we'll be your best source of information.
I think I heard is like get a VPN and sign up for Peacock, and you have to. But then the unfortunate part is you have to use an American credit card.
We're gonna drop the CITIUS Mag credit card in the chat. This one's on us.
Oh, that would be brutal for us. Quick thanks to HOKA for putting us up in this spot, prime spot for the trials.
We are 100 meters away from the finish, and they are going to pass by the corner that we are on 4
Unfortunately,
times.
we can't show you any of it, but we will be going crazy. We've had a ton of great events all throughout the week. We had a shakeout run here where it was like the biggest one I think we've ever had. It looked like 500 people. I would say it was 500 people.
Sure, no one's checking.
And so thanks to anyone who came out for that. Thanks to the people who've tuned in all throughout the week to watch us or listen to us in podcast form. But yeah, it's such a shame that like it's going to be over in 3 hours.
And when it's done, we're going to look back and know exactly. Like, of course, like the writing was on the wall. How did we not pick that team? Something I did pull up that I want to share is just the flat nature of this course and how that's going to maybe play into certain athletes' hands versus other. And like we keep talking about, like I do think this is going to go really quick. I think that very realistically, if the weather does stay relatively cool here, that we might get that 3rd Olympic spot. The 208.10, so that we don't have to make it official on May 5th based off of rankings. Like this thing can go really fast. So overall, think of like the Strava runs that you've gone on, and like at the end you have 1,000 feet of elevation gain on like a 10-mile run. So the total amount of uphill on this course is only 359 feet. Extrapolated over 26.2 miles, it's really not hilly, and it's not super windy out here either. There's I would say like one maybe hill, if we want to call that slope a hill, that they'll hit a few times leading into 5:13. So it's 5:10, 13, 18, 21 are the slopes sort of hills. That is the majority of the course, but besides that, it is relatively flat. So I do think I'm looking at people's 10K times historically, how they've run on the Chicagos, and to me that is important, knowing that you can run that 20 tempo for the women that we might see early on.
All right. We are now less than 10 minutes away from the start. I guess what I'm so curious about now that the broadcast has officially started is like, where are the pros out wearing like the ice vests like up until the last second? Are we seeing any crazy technology where it's like, I remember the Ashton Eaton sort of like ice mask, but we're getting our first glimpses now of some of the professionals.
Yeah, I don't know if it is hot enough, if it's quite hot enough for the ice vests.
I learned something.
Yeah.
because yesterday about just kind of like athletes and how they're going to strategically adapt to the heat. You know, obviously people made a big deal about Galen Rupp switching out hats at the Rio Olympics because they were like in a cooler. I don't know if this is all that public, but it's happening now. Clayton Young, who has no shot, he's got a bunch of hats that are frozen, and I forget what, he attached something to them. Each one of the hats is signed. So he's going to be, like, when he tosses them. I didn't also realize you can get a hat at a water station as well, or the bottle station, but they're taped to his bottles. So we're going to see several Clayton Young hat switches, but they're all frozen. I don't know how that works.
Will they stay frozen?
I don't know.
Huh. I mean, mentally, that's a great, maybe he has a shot.
Maybe he has a shot.
But
as of right now, no shot.
That's a great, if it's hot, and as we know, it is like you're coming down, you're feeling a bit overheated, and you each little bit you get a new hat, a new frozen hat. That sounds awesome.
You know what I'm thinking about? This is not about Clayton, but someone else. This is a great spot to drop out. Let me just say, like, where we are watching and hang out, there's going to be so much carnage out there today. Like, not because of the heat, but just because people are going to run until they're not in it anymore. And, like, you know, you're going to take some chances. I think we've got like prime real estate to pull some athletes off immediately after dropping off and get them on the show.
Instant reaction.
You know, I'm curious too, because we were checking the weather on the way over here, and you know, maybe right now where athletes are warming up all their warm-ups on not necessarily the ice vest status, but it is supposed to increase about 10 degrees in the next hour. So I'm curious about how that's going to impact things as the race progresses versus like initially feeling perhaps good, normal, it's not that hot. Perhaps that will reward athletes who are more conservative at the beginning, not quite as aggressive in what will be difficult conditions later.
Oh, man.
We hear a lot of cowbells out there.
Yeah, it's like a Will Ferrell SNL skit out here. Yeah.
I think like
more cowbell.
One of the great things about it being Orlando is just that like flights out of New York were $70.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of friends of mine from Central Park Track Club who just like decided to fly in at 7 a.m. Took the Uber from the airport. They're out here somewhere. I think like they gave me a wave before, and now they're flying back this evening. Like, think about just like, oh, you spent $160 to go to a Knicks game and get like nosebleed seats, and you're like, all right, I'll just go to Orlando, spend the afternoon there, and come back and fly.
It's a good investment.
To watch the race. All right, we're getting our glimpse at.
That's the first frozen hat.
First frozen hat.
Yeah, everyone's got the hat. Everyone got the shades on.
Oh, he's got a little extra ice in a bag.
Chalimo is shadeless and hatless.
What do you think about
hat and shades?
Are we team shades? Are you team shades?
I would be in this situation. I would be team shades,
no
but
question.
the sun is my number one enemy out there in these hot races. I mean, it's perfect spectating weather. It is going to be tough marathoning conditions.
A lot of sunscreen being applied before the start.
No, I want to keep the pores open. Yeah. So I'm not going to be sunscreening up, but I will be hats, and I'm just going to have to deal with the sunburn later.
Sarah, you're the sunscreen queen.
This is a very rare take from me, but I completely agree with Eric. On race day, I know, shocking, because I'm a huge proponent of sunscreen.
Dermatologists hate her.
On race day, if you're trying to keep cool, there is nothing that makes you, well, not nothing, but it feels quite toasty if you over-apply the sunscreen. Skin can't breathe.
We were wondering whether or not people would be wearing ice vests, and you see Betsy Sena there and Keira D'Amato, like
wearing
fully
jackets.
Tight it out, jacket it up. It's like
they're chilly.
It's cold in the shade.
Oh man,
I like the visor move.
If you're a pro athlete, do you think about the dynamics of how they line you up? Like, oh, Paul Chalimo hasn't run a marathon at all, and he's on the front line.
Yeah, I think I believe Jay Holder shared this with Ali on the Run on his like behind the scenes podcast.
Okay,
and that's an NBC decision.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like straight seat time or something. It's like, who are we going to talk about on the broadcast?
All right. I didn't know about that. But then do you take offense if you're CJ Albertson in the second row? I think CJ does take offense.
Do you make the team based off of chip time or gun time? That's the big question.
Yeah, if you're really worried about that, if CJ Albertson's ego is kind of on the line at this point, before the gun goes off, I don't know.
Oh, really? We might be on a little bit of a delay, I think. But that's fine. Because then people will know, like, oh, something crazy happened. I got to tune into the CITIUS Mag live stream to get their reaction. Oh, man.
All right, we're getting our broadcast caught up. Any last-minute dark horse picks? Like, is there someone whose name we haven't mentioned in the last few days that we're worried about?
I have a thought. I think that we haven't given enough chatter at all to kind of the group of women that have run around 223, 224. Kind of that we haven't talked at all really about Sara Vaughn.
Yeah.
Sara's an incredible competitor, has been racing at a really high level for many, many years, has made 1,500 team to go to Worlds back in 2017, has just had a huge, huge range. And, she has not yet made an Olympic team. This is one of the things that has eluded her so far. So I'll be really curious to see if she can demonstrate, as Kyle was saying, kind of that sub 220 fitness that it's probably going to take to get on this team.
Well, she had a great run in Chicago, now being coached by Alistair and Amy Craig, who have shown their chops for marathoning. I guess Amy has always showed her chops in the marathon, but especially as coaches this past 6 months or so, they've had a number of athletes do really well. So Sara now working with them, and I think you do make a great point. And if you do look back, like, she has been pretty consistent in her few marathons that she's done. Like, even on her worst day, she is doing quite well. And when thinking about and analyzing picks, you don't want that person who is super high or super low, because on a day like today, to make this team, a lot of athletes don't necessarily need to hit a home run. It is like, come out and run to your fitness level, and if she is in that low 220 fitness, that might be enough.
I'm looking at the chat. When you asked for dark horse picks, people are throwing out Jake Riley, Martin Hare.
You can't say someone who made the team last time was a dark horse, but in fairness, we haven't talked about Jake Riley enough. Someone who has shown that they've been.
And he didn't even have a qualifier to get in. The reason he's in this race is because he qualified for the 2020 Olympic team, which that's a nice, cool way to just all right, if you make it this team and then run in Paris, you don't have to run another marathon, and then you can just show up to the 27 trials. It's a pretty sweet deal. But I think that just goes to show the point that someone is going to run the race of their lives. That's just traditionally the way the trials works. It's Brian Sell in 2008, Jake Riley in 2020. There's so many people who fit that category of that's the blue collar guy who no one was talking about beforehand. It's going to be Zach Panning.
But yeah, it's not a dark horse. But again, to Sara's point, another athlete they were talking about, and blue collar, I mean, what does that mean? If you run a lot, you're blue collar. That's the rule. If you work a job or you run a lot, you're a blue collar runner.
Yeah.
Dakota Lindworm.
Yeah.
I think she's someone in that category that, we've seen her success at Grandma's, knows how to win a race in that 224 area, and has had a great block of training. We follow her on Strava. She runs a ton, blue collar.
Absolutely, yes. And you said Grandma's, you made me think of Lauren Hagens. We haven't talked about Lauren Hagens at all.
Shout out HOKA NBC Elite.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben Rosario was really, really huge, on the pre-race show on Lauren's fitness and how she's been looking in practice. And she's just brimming with confidence. Her one marathon has been a win and pretty fast time, 225. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do.
Oh, wow. I was like, what happened?
The U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials for the men
are underway.
Has started. And immediately at the front is Abdi?
I see Clayton Young and Connor Mance up in the
Clayton
front.
Young,
So as of right now,
he...
Oh, I dropped the marker.
All right. The men are off. They're very, very wide here at the start. Doesn't look like anyone's immediately doing anything crazy. Another guy who I think might be one to take the pace early, Frank Lara. Frank Lara loves a little TV time and is not scared to take this thing early.
Well, that was the thing 2 years ago at the Chicago Marathon when Connor was making his debut. Frank was the guy who went with him, and it was a huge swing for the fences. and he managed to, he blew up. Connor held it together a little bit, but one of these days, right? It's like the Daniel do Nascimento move in New York City Marathon. He's a good marathoner. At some point, it's gonna stick.
They're just taking a look around right now. See who's up front. Is it whoever
Let's
it
get
is?
a booty.
Who's taking the chance?
Sydney, get a booty.
I spy with my little eye Brian Schrader,
Brian Schrader,
the quietest 209 guy.
Yeah, I've heard reports that Schrader's fit. I tossed his name out there, but I also tossed out Estrada's, who's not in the race. So I guess, but I've trained a little bit with Brian Schrader. Great guy, very fit, and yeah, a sneaky. No one's really talking about that 209 he ran recently.
Yeah.
Something that is notable about this course is the number of turns.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
And pretty
turns
sharp turns.
and some sharp hairpin turns along the way. So I think especially in the beginning of this, it's like, let's make sure everyone gets through every turn relatively clean. But then also, the difference of if you're always on the outside of 7 guys each turn, you're running extra distance.
Do you train for turns?
I don't know if you'd necessarily train for turns, but you would want to game plan, and
Like how you cut
how
it?
how you cut it, how you would yes, you might be running a little bit extra distance if you're taking the tangents wide, but I wouldn't want to be doing hard turns and then having to slow down, especially in the marathon when your legs are dead at the end of the race. Like, you don't want to take a hard turn, kind of slow down and start it back up. So I'm sure the guys who are really well prepared have thought about the turns.
All right, so some people joined us at the very beginning. I'm seeing it flash on the actual broadcast. There is an explainer now on screen as to how the men will qualify for the team.
Shout out to this copywriter.
So you explained it before, but we now have double the amount of viewers. What has to happen here?
Essentially, the U.S. has unlocked 2 spots by having men run under 2:08:10. There is a 3rd spot up for grabs, which can be earned today by having someone else run under 2:08:10, or we wait until May 5th to see if any Americans are on the top 80 in the World Athletics descending order list, the rankings, and then that would unlock that 3rd spot as well. But in order to get one of those spots, no matter what, you have to have run under 2:11:30 for the men and 2:29:30 for the women. And right now, only 17 men have done that before, and so there are a lot of men in this field who need to make sure that this pace does not lag too much if they're going to have a viable shot at this thing.
Up in the front of this race, the Black Cactus, Abdi Abdurrahman, 5-time Olympian, looking to make his 6th Olympic team. Another one of those guys who didn't have any qualifying mark to get into the race, but makes it here because he was a member of the Olympic team. Is this just a courtesy move? I guess if you're in the field, it's like, all right, let the 5-time Olympian lead for a little bit, and then we'll get going. They're jogging.
It's amazing how many people are in that tight pack at the start of the race, legitimately running on top of each other.
It's packed up.
We still haven't gotten our first mile split, but it'll be coming in very shortly. And this is, again, guys, this is the 2-mile loop before they hit the 8-mile loop that's going to be repeated 4 times.
5 flat, first mile, right on the dot.
2:11 pace.
Yep.
2:11:30 pace.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So that is exactly what they need to be running.
Wow. Did you want it to be faster? I think it's gonna get faster.
I think that they're gonna run around 2:11 pace for a while, and then at some point someone is gonna make a move and really open this thing up. But
I mean, it's
you're feeling it out.
Yeah, and if you're gonna err on a side of either too fast or too slow, you're probably gonna want to go a little bit too slow off the bat. You don't want to open up and just and guns blazing a little bit too fast. Love seeing Abdi up at the front.
For some of the guys up in the front right now, these are people who they got in with their 2:18 qualifier or whatever it might be, and they're this is their moment. I guess the chance that they get up to, all right, I'm gonna blast a 5-minute mile up in the front to try and just get a little bit of TV time, and then it gets a little bit painful if you take that approach.
The commercials are going to be
A little annoying.
painful, huh?
Trying to pull up. Saw one guy up in the front of the race who I'd never heard or seen before. T. Roy Brown, bib number 501.
Other guys we haven't talked about, Reed Fisher. Great guy.
He's someone that I'm looking at. He's fallen early in a race once before, and so I'm keeping a close eye on him in
That was
that
his
tight
marathon
pack.
debut.
Make sure that he's on his 2 feet, because Reed is someone who just keeps getting better and better every time out. I think what's Reed now, 210 guy?
Yeah, and he was quietly up there at the New York City Marathon a couple times in contention for top American.
Yeah, it'd be great to see someone like Reed have their breakout day today.
He's
Similarly.
one of those guys.
Yeah, this would be a
just
good
right on
day
the
to have a
cusp.
breakout day.
It would.
Yeah.
You're right, Eric. It would.
Also, just an incredible story, just running for so much more with his wife battling cancer. Just how open, I guess, that entire team has been over the last couple of years has been great. And so that's the cool part, is that when athletes are just so transparent and they share along in the journey, like there's a bunch of people out here who, like, even with whatever his odds are, like they're emotionally invested in rooting for Reed Fisher. So I don't know, that's the beauty of an event like the Olympic Trials.
Right now, we are blind to what's happening.
Yeah. I'm catching on to the Marathon Trials website is just redirecting to the live results constantly.
All right, we're back. Let's see who's up front as this thing starts to get strung out a tiny bit more.
Still a pack of like 50 guys.
Clayton Young up front.
Yep, the BYU boys are doing their thing, just working together as a team.
They've got God on their side.
Yeah. Fauble with the white hat, white top. On a day like this, you kind of had to go white top.
So in the black,
it just seems like the smart thing.
Yeah.
in the black there is Chad Bayer, former pro cyclist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the former pro cyclist. I want to say he rode in the Giro
Giro
d'Italia.
d'Italia, yeah.
Now up front, taking the pace.
That's him?
I mean, he looks like a cyclist.
Yeah. So
Man.
I guess Chalimo wasn't thinking 208 right from the gun.
He's never...
That's a mind
Yeah.
game. You
Oh,
tell everyone
100%.
you're doing 208. You spook them a little bit.
What's the crazy... You've been in some of those races where he plays with the field. Is Paul just a killer in the call room and then on the track? Like, what? How does he mess with everyone?
No, he's not necessarily much of a call room killer. But yeah, when he gets out there, and I think there's one year, I think it was the 2017 5K championships, where he just took it right from the gun, kind of ran away with it. And then a few years later, you saw him kind of yo-yoing the field and coming back and forth. So it does kind of throw you off your game a bit. And anytime you're able to throw the competitors off, I mean, it's a benefit for you.
All right, who got the front line on the women's side? Looks like Kira, Emily,
Jenny, Joan Benoit Samuelson, the honorary starter.
Oh, I think
and here come the men right by us. We can't show you, but the crowd is starting to go wild. Get a
It's
sense.
pretty crazy. All right, what?
Chad Bayer up front, taking Chalimo and Clayton Young, Brian Schrader in fourth, Connor Mance in fifth.
Oh, wow. Fauble is off. He was just kind of chilling on the back of the pack, not really. Could be good.
There's so many men out there. It's a huge boulder pack in the middle, running together.
I mean, how can you not get excited?
You really forget how many men ran under 218.
All right, the women's race is underway. This one much easier to understand. top 3, all you need, and to have run under 2:29:30 to go to the Olympics. Jenny Simpson.
Immediately to the front in their marathon debut. I said the other day, she's the most accomplished runner in this field. We don't have any other world champions. But how will that translate from 1,500 to marathon? That is the new question. But it does look like immediately we do have all of the big dogs up front. And that men's 2-mile split, by the way, was 9:59. So we're picking it up. 5 flat, 4:59.
Just a slow cut down all the way to the finish line.
1 second per mile.
1 second per mile.
I love seeing Jenny go straight to the front. This is exciting to see. You know, she's such a competitor, and I am really excited to see what her first marathon has in store today.
Kira D'Amato and Emily Sisson not scared to take this thing out and run a quick pace. I mean, I think of if there's one theme on the women's side, you see Sara Hall up there, is none of these women have ever been scared to, one, put out the fact that they're trying to run fast times, and two, from the gun, go after it. I think back to Chicago a couple years ago. Sara Hall made it very well known that she was on the path to trying to get that American record, and they're bold. I'd give the women a lot of credit on that front, because we're seeing immediately that they are way more strung out than the men were. The men were clipping each other's heels. The women, they are already a long line back, and we are only 2 minutes into the race.
You know, I just had to look this up for myself. When was the last time Jenny Simpson and Emily Sisson were in the same race? Because if you kind of think of their careers, like the overlap was, I mean, Sisson was primarily focused on the 5K and Jenny stayed to the middle distance, and then they never really went head to head at 1,500. How many times do you think they've ever raced against each other?
It's going to be like an NCAA championship in 2010 or something.
No, they've only ever raced each other once. Houston half. That's it. And Sisson broke the American record in that 66:52, and then it was Jenny's 70:35. The only time. So that's why I was like, kind of staring at that. I was like, oh, that's the first time. We haven't seen this in a while. In fact, we've only ever seen it once before.
All right, let's see how that first bottle station went.
Oh,
Connor Mance missed his bottle. Absolutely tossed it.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh, thought about it. Thought about getting it for him.
Oh man, that is big.
But you know what? That's the benefit when you have a teammate and other guys around that saw it.
Actually, it looks like that water bottle station was pretty chaotic for everyone.
I think that's an underplayed thing. No one's really discusses. All these people are pros, so everyone gets bottles. So we're bound to have some mistakes be made on that.
And with a pack that big and that tight, and you need to get every single bottle.
Isn't that a reason to make sure this thing gets strung out a little bit? Like if you're in your head, you're one of the favorites, and you just know if I run a clean race that I can make this team. Like, get your space of the bottles.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, kind of to Eric's earlier point about thinking about the corners, it is a little bit of a mental load to consider your positioning every time you're going around a corner. And then once again, every time you're going for your bottle, right?
3 mile split, 14:56. We've picked it up another notch, a 4:57. So 5 flat, 4:59, 4:57. Not slow. We are under that 2:11:30 pace that we've kind of noted that if you're going to make the team, you need to be at, and so they're not wasting any time getting there.
Are we bottle sharers here?
I was actually just gonna say that. I mean, if you're
no way.
None of the trials.
No way.
No, I'd be knocking bottles off
of
other people.
I bet Clayton Young shared his bottle with Mance, but
all right, update the board.
But if I'm
no way, not yet. He's done.
But
he's no shot.
Now he's got no shot.
He's back to no shot.
If he gave Connor some,
he's too good. He's too nice of a guy.
Nice. I mean, big flaw.
If you're Connor and you was that the first water bottle station?
Yeah, 2.5 in.
That's not what you want to have, and that's really not what you want to have. I mean, mentally, that's probably not not good.
Someone's sharing at this pit.
Oh, someone's going to share with them, but
I just like the visual of
begrudgingly.
like when you miss that bottle, then after that, it's like your first instinct is like, Clayton, where are you?
help me!
I'm thirsty.
I'm so thirsty. We should have started even earlier.
The chat is saying I think Shalimo shared.
Oh,
No way.
what a nice
What
guy.
a crazy move. I mean, what a community out there.
And that's what this is all about.
It's all about.
I would say
it's all about spreading the love.
we're celebrating community, and we just so happen to also be selecting the marathon team.
I love how we're back here. We go. No one should share. No one share their bottle. It's every man out there for themselves. And Shalimo is sharing.
All right,
sharing
we have a women's first split.
Okay.
5:32.
So that is under the 226.50 pace.
Everyone's in it right now.
Everyone's in
Making
it.
that Olympic team. And that was Kira D'Amato came through first. But look, the women's side, it's Kira, Sarah Hall, and Emily Sisson leading the way right now.
Yeah.
Is that the team? Are we done? Let's call it.
Yeah.
All right. This does have like an election night type of feel.
Key
where we've
race alert.
So we'll hit you with the key race alerts, but we're not ready to call the races yet. Kira up in the front.
I mean,
Kira,
what is the psychology? Like, why is Kira pushing this right now?
I mean,
Just
you run
sit.
a lot of
Just-
miles by yourself. You train
Yeah.
alone. You're used to having some space. You often, are on your own in a race. That just sometimes feels more comfortable, more relaxed.
I mean, I think the move is you can get this thing going and then at some point hit the brakes and force someone else. And it's like, all right, well, now we've lulled it into a fast race, which benefits me. But
Could just be, she could just be excited out there. I mean,
it's a long time to potentially run
I mean, she's kind of stringing out the field a little bit.
entirely. I do love seeing Fiona O'Keefe up there.
Absolutely, yes. Setting a statement at the very beginning. I'm going to run with these women. I'm going to get after it today.
Natasha Rogers as well, the two half marathoners.
Betsy
Now-
Santa just sitting in the pocket.
They are not running slow. The women are going to catch the men.
Kira D'Amato with one of the best Instagram posts I saw, I think, in the lead up to this race, where she talked about picking up her daughter from school. Her daughter was like crying. It's like, why are you crying? It's like, because she said she wants her mom to make the Olympics because she knows her mom wants the goal so bad. You have to go and read it yourself because I can't get through it without like almost tearing up here. But
Chris is a crier.
I am a big crier. I'm a big crier.
All right, so I'm looking at this women's field, and I'm just thinking, all right, who thinks that they have a shot to make this team? A dark horse that a lot of people have slept on is Sarah Sellers.
Yeah, they finished second at the Boston Marathon, or third? Second or third?
In that very, very
Second.
rainy year.
2018.
So Sarah, something's been going well in training that she thinks she's got a shot. She's putting herself in
Emily
it.
Durgan's up there.
Emily Durgan,
I've
look,
been wanting to talk about Emily Durgan.
Go
She
off.
has had the most incredible steady improvement since being a collegiate athlete. She was about a 16-minute 5K runner in college, continues her professional running career, first with New Balance Boston, and then makes the move to Flagstaff. And she has just had the most incredible trajectory, has improved every single year, and we see her really improving the longer the distance is. So she dropped out of New York City Marathon in her first marathon attempt and then was able to come back and run, I believe, 225.
Yeah, in Toronto.
Yes. And so I will not be surprised if we see Emily Durgan finishing really high up in this race.
She's made the U.S. cross team, I think, last year, but then didn't race at Worlds due to injury. But someone who had another underrated thing, I think, about some of these competitors is that they race. Some people race a lot on the USATF road running circuit, and I think you can learn a lot about your competitors through those races.
4 mile split, 20:01. They slowed down just a hair. That was a 5:05 mile. You got Clayton Young, Sydney Gitabude up front leading the way. I do want to just slide down a little bit and just see all right, well, who's not putting themselves in there super aggressively? But look, they've got 25 guys who are still a second apart from
It's
one
going to get
another.
loud here in a second.
And it's about to get loud as the men, or is this the women?
This is
The women are about to do their first pass of the corner.
Everyone's got their cell phones out.
That 4th mile does have that hairpin turn. Here come the women around our bend. Emily Sisson has taken the lead. Keira D'Amato, Fiona O'Keefe, Sarah Hall, Betsy Sena, Emily Durgan.
The top stars are in it. Oh, they are running. Sisson going to the gels early. I mean, we got split screen, baby. Mac is fired
That
up.
2nd mile for the women, 10:49. So they are absolutely flying. That was a 5:17 2nd mile for the women.
Faster than American record pace.
It's a just about American record pace on that 2nd mile.
That's brutal.
That's one way to just like, all right, it's on.
They are not messing around.
JP Flavin up in the front.
JP Flavin, Hanson's Brooks athlete. They've been down here in Orlando training. Sydney Gidibude, Frank Lara, these 3 men up front keeping this race moving. At this point, hey, look, we're already running 5-minute pace. You got to keep it going, right?
Yeah.
This is electric.
Someone that is exciting to see in here, Alphine Tuliamuk, sitting in 12th place right now. The defending champion.
Dealing with a hamstring injury in the build-up, but still decided to give it a go. Line up, take your shot.
Frank Lara has to keep this honest. 2:11:32
That's
in
his
the
PR.
window, and it's just not enough. He's got to go under 2:11:30 today if he can make this team. So that's why he's up there, and that's what we're going to consistently see time and time again.
Frank Lara just looked over at JP Flavin, and just like how tall he is, it's like anyone looks really tall next to Frank Lara, but he's just like, you have to take a moment and be like, you're really tall.
And I think I see Galen Rupp back there just tucked in, biding his time.
Speaking of,
Look, those top guys like Galen Rupp, if you're gonna go out and run 5-minute pace, I'll sit, I'll wait. Look, like he's run 2:06 before. He's probably been in like 2:03 shape in his life.
I mean, they could be walking, and Galen's not going to take the lead.
I gotta say, Brian Schrader's very impressive right now.
Brian Schrader has had an unbelievably fun career to follow because he was a good track runner, made a strong opening on the roads, and kind of like disappeared for a little bit. He actually works for Saucony
full time,
and then he's now an assistant coach at Harvard. Picks it up, just as we're getting into this trials build up. Runs 2:09 in Chicago and is just absolutely crushing it today.
Is he still coach? Who's coaching him now? I'm not quite sure. David might know. Who's coaching Brian Schrader? Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Kurt Benninger.
All right, the women's field has so completely strung out at this point that we just have a lead pack of the contenders. So in that pack,
early.
Eight people.
Sisson, Hall, O'Keefe, D'Amato,
Durgan,
Sara, Sellers, and Natasha Rogers.
Natasha Rogers, yeah.
I love how, like, before the race, I go, why would you make it fast if you're like the top 3 women, and they're making it incredibly fast? I mean,
unpredictable.
Sisson is just hammering from the front. Really, I mean, this is the hardest position to be in, and she's just crushing it.
Do you hit the brakes like in some of the middle miles? Or no?
All gas, no brakes.
All gas. I don't know. I'd be like, all right, we broke away. Let's relax for 2 miles, and then we'll do it again.
Now in 9th place there is Lindsay Flanagan. She was my dark horse pick. Again, not dark horse, top 10 at World Champs.
Great place to be.
Great place to be. Got him in sight, within striking distance. People start to come back. She can run right up to them and pick them off one by one, potentially.
Oh, wow. I think Fiona O'Keefe looks really good.
Super.
I just think if you're Keira and you make this race as fast as possible, you have such a good shot now. Look at this.
That third mile.
You're 2 miles, 3 miles in, and now there's only 8 women around you. Like, if you make this thing as fast as possible, you've given yourself such a good shot.
Third mile, 16:08, Max. So they are absolutely rolling still.
Your other
That
dog.
was a 5:19 for the women again. And Zach Panning just made a move.
He's doing it for Kyle.
But I think that's the thing about marathons is just like the broadcasts throw you off when someone surges ahead. Like that's what it is. It's like they're coming up on a water station. They want to play it safe, get some room from your competitors, and then just make sure you get the bottle down.
Connor Mance got his bottle, no problem.
Clayton right with him.
Clayton Young just recycled. Clayton Young just made sure he recycled mid-race. What a guy.
And for that
Clayton has a
reason,
shot.
Clayton has a shot.
So the men through 5 miles were 25:05, just over 2:11:30 pace.
so
But
it
you
looks
know what?
like
All
they're
those
picking it
top
back
guys
up.
right now, for the most part, have run that. You know, so I think they're going to float around here for a while. I don't think that was a real move by Panning. He was just trying to get a bottle.
But I will say that, like, when I had Clayton Young and Connor Mance on the CITIUS Mag podcast in October, when I asked them at the end of the interview, I was like, who's the one guy who you think people are sleeping on that you would watch closely? Obviously, in their ideal world, the 1, 2, 3 would have been those two plus Jared Ward. But I was like, who do you guys envision in that third spot? And they said Zach Panning. So for months, they've had their
Sam
eyes on-
Chalenga sitting right next to them?
No,
their
he wasn't
training
even in the
partner?
group yet at that point. Yeah.
As soon as
Like,
he
man,
joined the group, they're
tough.
like, you know who? Sam Chalenga.
Yeah.
Who we have heard is in really, really good shape, now training in Utah under Ed Eyestone. He had a tough race in Houston, so I think a lot of people have kind of like dismissed him unfairly, but he was sick. People get sick. You know what that
Get
means?
sick.
If you were sick then, you're probably healthy now. That body, you got the white blood cells pumping, you're good.
All right, chat. We are, what,
I was just going to ask, how much stock do you guys put in a kind of tune-up half marathon?
Ooh,
A lot.
you do.
I mean,
But how far out? Like Houston?
yeah. I mean, I mean, in an ideal world, you want Houston to go well, or any of your tune-up races. But,
Yeah.
yeah. If it's a bad race, you brush it off. If you're a good competitor, also you can have a bad race in your tune-up race and still, of course, come out and perform on the day. But, I mean, it also depends on the competitor, you know.
See, like Rupp running poorly, whatever. Like comparatively, in Houston, I think nothing of it. It's like, oh, he's in a big block. We've seen him do this before, and then turn around 2 weeks later and crush it. But then it's almost like the opposite, where it's like if someone runs really, really well, are you in too good of half marathon shape? Like BSM Bassa was fourth in a sprint finish. He runs 60-45 or so, and it's like, wow, he crushed it. And I look at that and I go, he's either going to make this team or he's in too good of half marathon shape too early. And so look at that sweet spot.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. It's kind of a conundrum.
We're still at 8 in the women's lead pack. That has broken away. Sisson throwing punches from the front.
Looking so smooth. She looks super relaxed.
I guess the way she ran that 10K in Eugene, which I still think about every day,
I mean, it was amazing.
it was just lap after lap after lap was just brutal.
She's incredibly good in the heat, and maybe that's what she, that could be what she's thinking right here is like
So,
a war of attrition, and she's going to outlast everybody.
I think they slowed a hair because now we've got about 4 other women who are trying to close the gap on them, including reigning champion Alfine Tuliama clawing her way back.
We have a 6 mile split for the men, 29:56. That last mile was 4:49. So
That's a big jump.
substantially, and Galen Rupp is now in it. He has made himself known. He's running along with the leaders. And behind, not far, CJ Albertson. He was someone that we pegged as a possible wild card to really try to make this thing go fast, go early. And he was really quiet for a while. He's now there. Nathan Martin is another athlete who we probably haven't spoken enough about. Just so consistently has run really well in the majors. And then Tashomi Mekinen,
Yep.
someone who a lot of American fans may not be familiar with. got his citizenship not too long ago, is now representing the U.S., originally from Ethiopia. He ran 2:10 in Berlin, but the way he did it says that he can run so much faster because he went out in 62, really shot his shot, and held on for 2:10.
Yeah. Where is Paul Chalimo in all of this? Oh, you're scrolling.
Paul Chalimo is not in the top 25 right now.
Kevin Salvano is.
Kevin Salvano is.
All right, so the women have maybe slowed a touch because it's a much bigger pack now. The way Mance runs.
He's a grinder.
Yeah. Grind boy is what you called him.
He's a grind boy.
Yeah.
And so there is Zach Panning up front, and then the other orange singleted dude behind him. They're not teammates. They don't train together, but both sponsored by Brooks. That's CJ Albertson. I see some long golden locks and a white hat behind Andrew Colley.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who, like, he
Chilling,
would just make this team. That's I would describe Colley. Someone who's so talented throughout his career, but a lot of it has been defined by injury. But when he is healthy, he is very, very good. Has had some phenomenal cross-country performances throughout his career, some really strong performances at World Cross before, has made the move to the roads. I believe ran 2:11 at Rotterdam. And so, he's under that standard, someone that we got to keep a close eye on.
These tables for the water bottles are they're so close together. Like some people almost come to like a full stop.
I feel like we need like the Hunger Games parachute in, dropping.
Yeah.
Like, let's get some drones to help these athletes out.
Yeah, embrace technology.
Are we going to have a trials in 28, or is it just going to be AI?
So that women's
this will probably be the last trials.
that women's 4-mile split, 21:32. That was a 5:25 mile. So they slowed down just a hair, but it is still gas right now. And in that front pack, D'Amato, Sisson, O'Keefe, Hall, Sena, Myler, Durgan as the top 7 with less than a second spread. But all in all, there are 13 women more or less together in that lead pack that we don't see on the screen right now.
We've got Gabby Rooker up there as well.
Oh, that's right. We haven't even said Gabby Rooker's name so far.
Gabby
So many
Rooker
people
in 15th place right now, 10 seconds back from Kira D'Amato.
I'm not. If I'm a Mill City fan, I'm not panicking in this moment right now because it's like to the point. Like that hot pace is going to take its toll on so many women up front. That's a good spot to be in, I think.
Is that Elkanah Kabet?
Yeah. Some of this has to feel like a little bit of a track race the way it's strung out. It looks like for Chalimo, just in the back, it's like just a straight line at this point on the men's side.
And it's still so early. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much racing to do. You don't want to get too caught up in these moves.
Look, Elkanah's coming off a 2:10 in Prague. He was 11th in New York. He's in good shape. He unfortunately didn't finish at the World Champs this past summer, but that New York race, I think, probably gives me more confidence that he is fit and ready to go again. And just, again, like that willingness to go up and push the pace and be in it immediately. Something has gone right in training that's saying you can handle this.
Tashomi McConan clawed his way back all the way to the front. But it's still panning. I mean, yeah, you got to throw some props over to the Hans's team for really spending, the past month here? It's been a long time.
In fairness, they always train in Orlando.
Yeah.
So we do have like a very slight gap.
It's forming, but not. It's coming off of a water station, so. I think Joel Richo's up there.
All right, that's a long string. That's a long string.
They don't look good?
7 miles in, these guys are in for a war.
I think on this men's side, there is going to be some serious carnage. Mac is saying that a lot of these guys don't actually look good for being 7 miles into the race.
A lot of arm swings. Oh, here we are. CJ Albertson and his chicken coop heat lamps have made it onto the broadcast. You talked about this on the CITIUS Mag podcast back in December after running both those marathons, CIM and the Baja California Marathon. You've already been doing it.
Lenny Courier, someone who has made Olympic teams before. Can he make it in the marathon now? I mean,
he was so close in 2020. Like, if the race had been 800 extra meters, he would have gotten third. He was charging so hard.
And so when we're looking at just straight personal bests, this was a 2:07 in 2019. Like, we know that he can run quick. And so Lenny being up there, being fit, I mean, he's coming off of a DNF in Chicago, which, you don't love to see, but he's just been there before. And he did run 2:09 in Paris earlier in the year. So Lenny, having run 2:07 before, someone that we have to take serious consideration of.
Oh, yeah, I put him in there. I put him in my picks.
You do?
I did. My original top 3 he was in there.
All right, so the men have hit 7 miles, and they are
34:44, another 4:49 mile.
So that's 2:10 pace.
And the women are starting to
pack up a bit.
Back up. That last mile was 5:30, and so
that 2 mile loop is just exciting. When
you just get excited. But you know what they did is they immediately got a feel for who the contenders are, because although they've slowed down, it's still really only 15 women.
Wow.
But it is Kira up front and Zach Panning, both been there for a while.
Chalima laboring a little bit.
Get a sense for where Chalimo is exactly.
Yes, Chalimo in like the second pack. It's hard to kind of get it.
Frank Lair is a no man's land between both of those right
Paul
now.
Chalimo was 35 minutes through 7 miles.
Yep.
35 flat?
Yep.
So he's 15 seconds back of the leaders. Let's see if there's any other big surprises who are in that second pack or behind.
So Fauble was in 14th place at 7 miles.
But not that far back.
Footsum was 23rd, 14 seconds back at 7 miles. Biasimbasa, 24th.
Fauble's in a good pack right now where he's just 3 seconds behind running with Shadrach Kapchirchir, Nico Montañez, Lenny Courier. He's good.
And Scott is fantastic at measuring his effort and, making sure that he has enough in the tank. He's excellent at pacing out his race.
Yeah. He's been doing... Scott explaining the heat training to me. All right, I guess share what it was like, I guess, when you walk into the team boss, the treadmill room just has been really hot over the last couple of months.
The best vibe. So fun, honestly. So fun. Yeah, just like a great vibe, right? Like Joe and Nick bringing the energy, keeping it light, keeping it fun. And I know Scott's out there working hard and it's uncomfortable. I've had a couple of times where I've run on the treadmill, I'm doing my easy run, and I'm looking at my heart rate like, holy smokes, this makes a huge difference. Just, not being adapted to the humidity and heat. But I mean, Scott has handled it great. He's put in the work and trusted that process, trusted that preparation. So I think that's only going to help, as it gets toastier, kind of having familiarity with that level of discomfort and that feeling is going to be so helpful.
The sauna blanket stuff is so funny.
It's 63 degrees right now, but it's a warm 63. It's getting up to 74 today. So I do think it'd be a shame if you did all that heat training and then you come here and it's 40 degrees. I'm glad that they're going to see what it was worth.
You feel like it's good validation.
Yeah. All right, so
another water station. is what we were looking at there for a second.
So something is fun is a lot of the course just kind of runs parallel to this highway. So you just think about the people who are just driving, you know, it's like, what is going on to my right? Is that Clayton Young?
That guy's got no shot.
No, right now he does have a shot.
Yeah, right now Clayton Young has a shot. He's sitting in third. Okay, so when we talked 2 days ago about how the team that you think would be best suited for good performances in Paris, when we look at the three guys up in the front, Panning, Young, Nance.
It's a great team.
Grind boys.
We're rooting for underdogs. We're rooting for stories. We love chaos. But at the end of the day, like, we want our three best athletes to go represent the U.S. in Paris. And that doesn't mean that someone who maybe has a huge performance today isn't that. But historically, you want those athletes who are always running good marathons, right? And so that is something that I'm rooting for as well. And so looking at that top three of Panning, Nance, Young right now, I'd be comfortable with that team.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all amazingly consistent. And, I mean, on the women's side, I think you could pick really any of the top 10 and you would see, you know, consistent long careers that have spanned a variety of distances and been wildly successful. They're great marathoners year in and year out.
6 miles now, 27:03. That last mile was 5:31. So again, like we're taking a look at our pace board. They're running about 2:23 pace, and we've got Sara Hall, Fiona O'Keefe, Emily Sisson, Keir D'Amato, Dakota Lindworm, Betsa Sena, Carolyn Rodich, Nell Rojas, McKenna Myler, Natasha Rogers, Emily Durgan, Alafine Tulamuk, all separated by less than 1 second at that pace right now.
Wow.
Alafine is going to absolutely send this. You know, I think there were some question marks in the lead-in because of her hamstring. And look, defending champ has to show up and defend that title. And she is in that lead pack right now. So we'll see what she can pull out.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast with her, and she was discussing the fact that she's had rocky buildups before and raced well anyway.
Zach Panning continuing to lead there. Just looking super comfy.
Yeah, I mean, pretty tough. Like, he's just decided, I'm just going to take it from the front. He's getting no help out there. They're just sitting on his heels.
He's running with his heart, and his heart told him to go. Yeah.
Oh, Meb's out on the course.
I mean, with each mile that grows, I'm growing more and more confident about Galen Rupp absolutely making this team. I just think it's so important to be invisible in the beginning. And it's such a long race, and he's run so many marathons. He knows just what's about to happen these next. How many miles are we in?
Yeah, we got a lot of
next 17 miles.
So apparently on the broadcast, we've learned that Scott Fauble stopped to puke at some point.
Was
so
this
he's
an issue?
struggling. Yes. So apparently Fauble stopped for like 15 seconds.
Quick puke break. Not good.
Yeah, his 8-mile split was 5:16. So he's still running. He was 40:03 at 8 miles, so still about 5-minute pace. But that 1 mile was a little slower. However, right back in it, 9 miles split just came up, and he ran a 4:51. So he may have stopped to a quick release of sorts.
Puke and rally.
Puke and rally.
He's gonna got a long way to rally.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go, Scott. A boot and rally, brother.
That's why you went to college.
Yeah. Get back out there.
Have another.
Yeah.
44:17, Zach Panning at 9 miles. That was another 4:47 mile. Look, there was a lot of talk about Zach Panning's marathon simulator in the build-up, posted on Strava, shared in the lap count. It was 16 miles at 446 pace, 447 pace. And so we've got no question that he can do this for at least 16 miles. Can he get another 10 out of it?
Oh, man. It's why we run the race.
But those last 4 miles of the race on the men's side, 449, 449, 448, 447.
Panning is pushed. This is impressive. This is a hard move. That's why you're seeing guys like, Chalimo probably thinking, why am I out here running the marathon?
Kyle, tell the listeners and the viewers right now the Zach Panning story from your interview where he's like, oh yeah, I've got a chip on my shoulder from, how, I was a big kid growing up. And you're like...
Yeah, I mean, Zach... I think Zach still identifies as a bigger boy because I guess when he was younger, he was a football player. He's not, and so he has that background, and he's
just a sweet boy.
He's just a sweet.
He's a sweet little boy.
And each night he thinks about that, and that is the chip on his shoulder. But also, represent.
We all have our demons.
Yeah, Eric's out here battling the comment section saying, "Oh, Eric's been eating good."
Yeah, they're not wrong.
But Zach also a non-D1 athlete, Grand
D2.
Valley State, and so he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's running for more than himself out there, showing that it's not about where you run in college. It's about how fast you run.
The chat, curious, who's the guy with the long hair that looks like Cole Hawker? It's Andrew Colley.
That's Andrew Colley, formerly of NC State, ran 2:11 in Rotterdam.
He's been training with Zap Fitness for his entire professional career.
Yeah. And again, like the story with Colley has always been, and you say anyone who's ever trained with Colley will talk about how he is so talented, and if he can only just stay healthy. And he and his coach, Pete Ray, have figured out the formula, it seems, in the last year or two as he's been able to string some stuff together. But he's run 2:11 and so, look, he's in that conversation. He's run 1:01 for a half as well just last month in Houston, which I do think is like the perfect time that we want to see in a tune-up.
The men are going to come by here in 2 minutes. Ooh, it's going to get loud. Oh, what? I didn't know that. Caroline Rotich is in the... Yeah, I know. I'm looking at your text. Caroline Rotich is in the lead pack. So she's... The reason that name might be familiar, she's the 2015 Boston Marathon champion. Has been training in New Mexico or Colorado, I think, for a bit. Became eligible to represent the United States in October. 39 years old. Was a fixture on the World Marathon major scene for a bit, and especially in Boston, just because the defending champs return so often. She's got a 2:23 personal best from 2012, pre the Super Shoes era, but just kind of cool. It's like, there's multiple Boston Marathon champions in the field now.
I just got a text from Brandon Hudgens. He said, Colley is the only person that looked me in the face and said, I can beat Galen Rupp when I'm healthy, and he believes him.
Okay.
Love that.
I love that.
All right, the crowd is about to get wild. We're going to take a look and see what we see who's looking good. Zach Panning,
Still up in the
Elkanah
front.
Cabet, Nathan Martin, Tishoni McConaughey, Galen Rupp, Clayton Young, Andrew Colley, Nico Montañez, Shadrick Kachucher, Ryan Schrader, Matt McDonald, Frank Lara, Paul Chalimo.
CJ Albertson just sitting in the back of that lead pack.
Was Fauble in that pack?
Who?
Was Fauble in the pack?
Fauble was not in that pack, not that I saw.
So Fauble, who was struggling with some of the fueling issues. Let's see if he's reattached to this second pack. Fauble's off to the side over there. Fauble
Looks like he might be stopping.
I think that might be it.
Scott Fauble has just dropped out of the race. That's unfortunate.
You were right in that this was a good spot. This ended up being the
I
DNF
didn't want it
corner.
to be Scott.
My God, you wrote his
damn it,
fate,
that was
Kyle.
the last person we wanted.
Nice job, Kyle.
I did not want it to
Yeah,
be
but
Scott
that's
when I
that's
said
rough.
this was a good spot. So Paul Chalimo, Dave was saying, was off that front pack. Someone who we heard was going to go and try to make this thing honest early on. Hey, if you're in it though, it is still early. It's 10 miles in. That 10-mile split for that front pack, 49.07. It was a 4:51 last mile. And again, within 3 seconds, there are 12 athletes.
I'm gutted right now. The women's race, still going strong, pack of 10. More than that. That's like a pack of 14.
Look, I think someone that we haven't thought about enough is Shadrick Kipchirchir.
Yeah.
Eric, you've raced Shadrick before, but the thing that I have noticed about him this year in both Rotterdam and Amsterdam, which, only 2:19 and 2:13, he goes for it every single time. Like he's I think it's a false sense of where he's at, seeing that 2:13, because he's going out.
Yeah, Shaddy's a gamer. He's always up there to race. You never quite know what type of shape he's in, but yeah, he's someone who's going for the win or nothing. And in these conditions, the African-born runners are fantastic. They're great.
And Shadrick has made an Olympic team before, albeit in the 10K.
Yes, yeah.
However, Kipchirchir's made it before. Like, why did we forget about him? It's because of that 2:13, but you got to remember the way they run the race, you can't just look at the time and take everything out of it. We don't know what the conditions are like. We don't know how they ran the race. And so when we're just staring at that depth chart, it's just like, all right, well, the 2:07 guys make it. Not necessarily.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm drawing from this whole experience and conversation over the last few days that you're not the biggest proponent of seed times being of huge importance.
Well, you think of the variance, right? Like every single marathon, not only the course and the pace, but the weather. Like there's so much that goes into the time that you run, and you do have to look. We're so obsessed with pace in this culture of ours. We're so pace obsessed. But it's not just about pace, it's who you beat. And that's the beautiful thing about the Olympic trials, because we don't care anymore that you once ran fast. Can you beat other people when it counts? And we're finding out who can and who can't.
We absolutely are. That's what today's all about.
The people watching the stream think that the cheers are just for when Eric talks, because they got like extra loud.
That's so nice. The chat's like
3,812 people watching right now. It's an honor to celebrate geeking out on the marathon trials with everyone. If you're not already subscribed to the CITIUS Mag YouTube channel, be sure to do so. We're going to be dropping so many videos, interviews, features, mini documentary series all throughout the next couple months as we gear up for the Summer Games in Paris. All right, I'm looking at trying to pick up on some splits here. Eric, what were you saying before about Shadrack before you got interrupted?
Oh, I was just saying that, in these conditions, a lot of the African-born runners run so well. They're great in the heat. Some
people have been spending like training blocks out there.
Oh, I mean, like you saw with Fauble, this heat is killer. It's going to play a huge factor. It's going to continue to play an even more of a factor the longer the race goes. guys like Shadrack, guys like Lenny Career, like they're good in the heat. They're used to these type of conditions, and that's going to be huge in the final stages.
We have 11-mile splits, and I just want to say, remember the last 2 trials, Galen didn't do anything until halfway.
I mean, Galen's just going to win.
And he's sitting there in 4th.
Galen's winning this.
He's gonna do something.
I just think it's so cute. He's letting everyone hang around.
I think the people watching the broadcast are losing it. They're like, we don't want to hear from the Orlando mayor. We want to hear about the race.
I mean, no one is helping Zach
Panning. I mean, no one's even pulled up on Panning's shoulder. He's taking it. He's just pulling everybody along. But I mean, why would you pull up alongside him when he's running hard? He's not just out there. He's going to get no help from anybody. Connor Mance has been sitting right on his heels the whole time. It seems like there hasn't been a whole lot of movement within the front pack for the most part.
So I think Zach Panning is going to make this team, but no matter what, his stock has skyrocketed today, right? Like an athlete that a lot of people may have not been familiar with up to this point, now all of a sudden leading a significant part of the Olympic trials, showing the balls to be the one to keep this thing really fast and honest.
Yeah.
No matter what, he's earning fans today. This is a win for Zach Panning already, but there's more to come.
Absolutely.
I kind of go back to the 2016 marathon trials when you said just sort of like how no one is helping him up in the front. Galen's first marathon was the marathon trials in LA, and he was running on Meb Keflezighi's heels, clipping him actually, because that's all he's been used to. It was just like how running right behind him and closer is like, oh, that's just Galen. He's used to the track, and Meb was getting annoyed. So I'm curious to see what mind games Galen ends up playing with the competition. I think it's just sort of like you described him as a great white shark a couple days ago, that he's just sitting there in the waters and he's getting ready.
I mean, you don't really need to play mind games when you're Galen at this point. Just being in the pack is mind games enough. And I don't think he's not intentionally clipping heels when he's just used to running onto people. I mean, when I was working out with him, he'd be clipping heels, and it was annoying as hell. But
maybe he thought you were annoying as hell.
Oh, he absolutely thought I was annoying as hell. But yeah, his presence is certainly felt out there. The longer the race goes on, too, he's the last guy you want sitting on your shoulder. But interesting to see. Just probably awesome for Connor Mance just to have Zach Panning pull this thing along, do the hard work, and use him as a rabbit.
The women are coming up to 9 miles now. We're gonna have that split for you. 48:53 at 9 miles. That last mile was 5:30 pace. Kira D'Amato, Fiona. All right, we're readjusting. We got Sarah Hall, Kira D'Amato, Fiona O'Keefe, Emily Durgan, McKenna Myler, Betsy Sena, Dakota Lindworm, Anna Frisbee, Emily Sisson, Nell Rojas, Caroline Rotich, Natasha Rogers, and Lindsay Flanagan, all within 1.5 seconds of each other.
Natasha Rogers, good to see. That was, good to see her up there in the pack.
Well, I mean, when I spoke to Natasha, she said I was trying to get some workouts out of her. Like I wanted some nuts and bolts. I wanted to hear how much mileage are you running? What are some good workouts you're doing? And she said she sees the Kira D'Amatos and Sarah Halls of the world sharing their workouts, and she's so intimidated by them. Something that she could never do. But she says, look, my whole career I've never been a workout hero, and that's why I'm confident that it's not important what I'm doing, but I am confident in my ability to pull something out of my ass.
I'm with her on that. I like that. I think it's more often than not, a lot of times you're going to leave the race out there with the workout. So, I'm all with her on that.
How do we feel? Well,
where was she? She's
Sisson dropped back a little bit in 10th.
Yeah.
No panic button. Sarah, you were going to say something about Natasha?
I was just going to say, back to Natasha. You just have to keep in mind as well, she has so much confidence in trying things she never tried before. In her second, I believe it was her second 10K, she won NCAA 10K title on the track. third 10K, almost makes the Olympic team, gets second at the Olympic trials. And so I love hearing what Kyle has to say about, hey, maybe I don't have the best training, but I know I'm a competitor and I can show up on the day.
Yeah, I mean, Natasha, she's made the last 2 global championships, most recently running the 5 and the 10K. Like, she knows how to show up when it counts. And so when she does say, I have the ability to pull something out of my ass, it's like, well, you have, like, the proof's in the pudding. Like, we believe you. Like, yeah, you can.
Yes.
It is, like, a big jump up. She had said that, previously to this block of training, and for a 10K runner, this is, like, not a lot. The most she had ever run before was 16 miles, which is just, that's
a huge
small.
jump, yeah.
That's like nothing.
Totally different world, racing 26.2.
And so for her to be looking so good right now, and everything that we've heard is that the training has gotten better and better the last 6 weeks. Initially, it was a really big adjustment, but she comes on late in training blocks, and now, almost 10 miles into the race, she's in it. Now, 10 miles is a little bit different than, 18 miles. And if she's still there, then I really do think her odds turn. But right now, I just like the mentality that she's saying, whatever you guys do, like, I'm matching.
Absolutely. What do you all think about it? I suppose we have 2 teammates, right, on the women's side, Fiona and Natasha, and then 2 teammates on the men's side. How do you all feel like that impacts their chances?
Team tactics?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was clear early on that Clayton and Connor were going to run together, and it still sort of feels that way. It's so hard with Fiona and Natasha, right, Kyle, because they weren't working out together a whole time this block?
Fiona was in Albuquerque, and Natasha was training in North Carolina, and part of the reason was Natasha had a long track season, Fiona did not, and Fiona started the block way ahead, and so it was essentially saying, like, to Natasha, you got to do your own thing.
Yeah, and partied it up a little bit.
You've got to do your own path and find your own way to getting fit and ready for the trials, whereas if Fiona's starting ahead, like, you're not going to be running workouts at your pace, and so a very strategic move that, hey, so far is working well is that they were separated.
I'm looking at these names in the top 25 on the women's side after this, and like Emily Durgan is just sort of like, what, we made such a big mistake not talking about her enough the last couple days. You interviewed her for the lap count as well, where she was just pretty stoked about just like she's felt like she's been called to the marathon for so many years.
All right, we hear some cheers. We've got an athlete who looks like he's in some serious pain running through. The crowd's cheering for him, though. He's going to muscle this one out.
He's not making the team.
But Emily is someone who I think a lot of people, again, and we say this about certain athletes, it's like natural-born marathoner. And initially, she came out and ran the New York Marathon, and it's a tough one to start. I should know to really open up your marathoning career there, and it didn't go well, and she dropped out, and then very quietly, it seemed, went off to Toronto to run the Waterfront Marathon and crushed it, ran 2:26, and it felt like that was like the true debut, and it was a glimpse into what she's actually capable of in this event. And so, that was in October, coming off some good momentum, and she's a grind girl.
Yeah. What do we think of the Zach Panning hat choice here? It's like a cycling hat, right?
Yeah, it is. It's got a little tilt, like sideways brim tilt.
Is that causing a little drag?
Definitely causing drag. It seems like the men are coming to the scene.
Oh, it's the women, right?
Here come the women.
Oh, the men's half marathon split. Through the half, Zach Panning was your leader in 64:07. Tashoma McConan, Connor Mance, Clayton Young, Galen Rupp all in it.
The women were 10 miles in 54:27. Fiona O'Keefe, Lindsay Flanagan, Sara Hall, Dakota Lindworm, Kira D'Amato, Betsy Sena, Emily Sisson, Anna Frisbee, Natasha Rogers. We got a big pack.
Big gap, too. Big gap.
And a big gap.
Big gap back, as that last mile was 5:34. So they continue to keep the foot down on the pedal. 10 miles, 54:27. We're looking at about 2:24 pace right now.
Looks like maybe getting a little cloud cover as well.
That's a relief. There hasn't been very much shade on that out on that course.
And so big gaps back.
It was over a minute.
Sara Vaughn, Jess McLean, Kellen Taylor, Gabby Rucker,
Alfine
Tuliamuk, Maggie Montoya, Des Linden,
Jenny Simpson
Monica
hanging
Meyer,
on.
Jenny Simpson. And now it's Dakota Lindworm, the Grandma's Marathon champion.
28 years old. Minnesota, like this is a big weekend for them. She's been slowly moving up every single mile. 10th at miles 7, 8th at 8, 7th at 9, 4th at mile 10.
I mean, we just got to give a shout out to Minnesota Distance Elite. They've just really done so much these last couple years. Coach Chris Lundstrom has been developing a hell of a squad. They're often overlooked, but look, Dakota Lindworm putting them on a map right now, showing everyone, trying to understand why they're so good at running in Minnesota. But this is huge because she's been running big miles. You can go check her Strava. You can see everything she's been doing. She can hang at this pace.
Was she a victory lap interview one time? Oh yeah, Mac's shaking his head. Mac roots for anyone he's ever interacted with on a personal level. Dakota's one of those people.
Hey, before she had that contract,
you were the first person to pay her to run.
let's go victory lappers, baby.
Puma's got 4 women in that top pack.
So Dakota,
Betsy Sena is just like positioning herself in a place where no one really kind of has like, I don't know, it's just a good spot where she's just stalking everybody.
that's what Rupp was
You
doing.
got to be incognito for a bit, and then ultimately you will make your move. She's patient. I like this.
So the men's half,
14 miles.
men's 14 miles.
Coming right up.
Tashomi Mekinen, 4:51 that last mile. Mance, Panning, Rupp, Barrier, Polly, Young, Kipchirchir. There's a 10-man pack and then an 11th, 10 seconds behind the leader, CJ Albertson. Bias Mbasa seems to be moving up. Bias Mbasa is certainly moving up the last few miles. Some 448s. He is in it, closing that gap down. But Tashomi Mekinen making himself known. Panning still up front. Sara, how long is Dakota going to run with this bottle?
It depends on how much upper body work you've been doing in this build-up too, because
She's not even drinking it. She's just been running with it.
Hey, sometimes you just need that little thing for comfort. Like, hold on, squeeze it. It's a plush toy for her.
Are you concerned that
I'm not nervous about Dakota being excited because she ran 3 marathons last year. Fiona, that's a more fair concern. She's never been here before. You know, we're not even at halfway yet. We're not in uncharted territory. So, to me, that says, is she really excited or is she feeling really good? But for a first-time marathoner, I do think that the gels and fueling are a factor that has never really been there before. I mean, you get through a half without taking a single sip of water, you'll be fine. But a marathon, it really does. You need that glycogen. You need those
You gotta glyc
carbs.
up, yeah.
Is that Nell Rojas in the middle? No.
All right. Can we get a clock on how long Dakota will run with this bottle?
We're at a commercial break. We're gonna come back and the bottle's gone. Oh man.
Ashley Powers hyping up the crowd. Heather Camp running by. I believe this is her 5th trials. The former 800-meter runner stepping up in distance.
Very impressive range.
Quite the range, for sure. All right, are we changing picks? Does anyone want to?
I have to change picks because Scott
Who are you
was
putting
in my
in there?
top 3. I'm going with Clayton Young. He's got a shot.
Clayton Young currently has a shot. Eric, does Clayton have a shot?
Seems like it.
He's
He's got a shot.
Who do you have replacing? Oh no, did you have Fauble in your top 3?
I think Fauble was my wild. I had originally my original top 3 was Rupp, Mance, and Leonard Career. So all those guys still in it. I like those picks.
I mean, I feel really good about Panning right now. Normally, I'm an anti-don't lead guy, but he seems so comfortable up there.
Yeah.
And I know that he's been doing so many workouts by himself, and so that does translate.
If Panning's able to make this team in this style of a race, like to pull to make the team like this would be pretty unbelievable. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, incredible. And, I think, to your point, if he runs a lot by himself, again, he's focused on keying into his own effort, right? That's something he does all the time. So, and hopefully, he'll get a chance to relax a little bit. Somebody will help him out, and he can tuck in and have a few miles to chill.
Someone we haven't talked enough about is maybe McKenna Myler.
Yeah.
And I'm a big trajectory guy. David, I know as well, loves the trajectory. Ran 2:31 this fall, the marathon project, and goes to Houston and runs 68 minutes in the half. And she had a baby in 2022, so clearly that strength is back and fully trending in the right direction. The 68 minutes being quite a bit faster than the equivalent 2:31. So currently in 5th place, 11 miles into the race. So looking quite strong.
Sounds like there's buzz in the chat. Alphine may have dropped out. We'll wait for confirmation on that. But has been dealing with a hamstring injury. Are you surprised to see Sisson being a bit more conservative?
No, it's the move. If you're the favorite, don't do anything.
All right.
I mean, I was surprised when Kira took it out so fast the first few miles, but it does seem like it was like, let's just get this going, establish a quick pace, and then fade back into the pack. I think, she does like running towards the front, has historically always been fearless in that sense. But I do think that for Emily's perspective, she's happy. She wants a fast race, and if someone else is going to do it, like if Kira took that initiative in the beginning and Fiona O'Keefe and Dakota Lindworm are going to keep it rolling, then why mess with a good thing? Oh, Kali looks good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, look test. Who looks the best right now in this men's group?
Well, Lenny Corrier always looks good.
It's cool to see Nathan Martin up there.
Yeah. Nathan Martin, has done a lot of running by himself in his life, and has recently switched, and I believe is being coached by James McCurdy. He's done a stint out in Flagstaff. It's just one of those guys who's just been so under the radar, but has consistently been one of the top Americans at the U.S. majors many, many times. Good to see him up here in a lead pack fighting for.
It's single file. I mean, it is. They're not running as a pack. It's it's a train of guys.
So the women 12-mile split, 5:32. Dakota Lindworm no longer holding that bottle. And in that front pack, we have 13 women within 2 seconds of each other. So still very, very much anyone's game here. On the men's side,
The men have hit. You read off the 15-mile split already.
yep.
So they're under the Olympic standard pace. Oh, Dakota dropped the bottle.
So yeah, so the men, they're currently on that 2:08:10 pace. At least like currently, I'd have to crunch some numbers to see what the overall 15-mile pace is. But even ever since those first few miles when they were running 5 flat, they really have been in the high 440s, low 450s range. And with 10 guys still together, you got to believe that someone in that pack is going to be able to keep this thing going.
This women's pack looks really good. Everyone looks like they're still like pretty together.
Lindsay Flanagan, my pick for third, only one out here picking her. She's a second half team. When I see someone's running big miles, I'm just thinking, you're a second half team. Like if you're still in it, if the bottles and the gels are going down, that strength is really going to come into play. And you saw her early on that she was very comfortable giving them a second or two. She knew those early moves were not real moves, and has now slowly moved herself up, has announced herself to the pack, put a big block of training in actually in Australia. She's normally remotely coached, but said, I want to go all in. I want to make this team.
Did you notice Fiona's looking around? She feels pretty good.
She's always looked like this, I guess, while racing, and since high school, I feel like in the California days, like always kind of just like gritting it out. There she is up in the front.
Betsy Sena just lurking.
Yeah, I love the position that she's
in
right there.
Perfect spot, yeah.
I mean, Betsy Sena is just someone who, again, like, I want to make the team because if someone is going to go break up Kenya and Ethiopia in Paris, I think it's Betsy Sena. I just think that she's shown before that she can be on that level. I mean, I think back to 2016 at the time, she was running for Kenya, and she can, and what was the most competitive 10K in like history.
That was the world record went down in that race. Molly Huddle got the American record.
She ran 30:07, finished 5th place. That's pre-super shoes.
Yeah.
And so for thinking about the potential of who I want in that U.S. uniform, I want Betsy Sena there. I think that's a potential medal.
Yeah. I'm looking at the credentials. So you mentioned 5th at the Olympic Games, 10th at the World Championships in 2015, 7th in the 3K at the World Indoor Championships in 2016, African Championship bronze medalist, NCAA champion in 2013 in cross, indoor champion in the 5K. Yep, she's good.
So right now through 16 miles, they are on 2:07:58 pace. Wow. So
Okay.
the likelihood right now that third spot runs under 2:08:10, and we don't have to figure out this ranking system, is quite good. We only need one person who is not named Connor Mance or Clayton Young to run under 2:08:10, and we will send 3. And right now they are running under 2:08 pace. That's huge. Thank you, Zach Panning.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Your country thanks you. And the number of guys at this point in the race, less than 10 miles left, 16 miles, it was a 4:48 split. And again, we have 9 guys within 3 seconds of each other. We just need one of them to hold on, and we don't have to worry about it. But really, that pack is starting to open up, and when the pace is this fast, I think it's just a matter of attrition.
Oh, yeah.
No one's coming back. No one who's not in that top 9, 10 right now.
No, they're going too fast.
Like, it's not. There's too many guys looking fresh. Andrew Colley's looking too easy.
Yeah, Andrew Colley looks good. It's Zach Panning's just hoping that guys just start dropping off one by one at this point.
And again, single file.
Single file. It's
Panning, Mance, Mekinen, Young, Colley, Quebec, Querir, Rupp, Martin. Rupp, I want to see the distance. What's the distance between them? There's Megan Krifchin running by, 7 months pregnant right now.
Amazing.
7 months pregnant.
Just having the time of her life out there, waving. All right, so this is it? This is the move?
I mean, I don't have any sense of where Rupp is in relation to everyone else based off of this
Oh,
view.
wait, no. This is...
Is he falling
This
off?
is falling off.
I would
not
like.
leading.
Can they show us?
it says 2 seconds back.
Is this is this a second? Is it 2 seconds? He doesn't look great.
Yeah, he does.
You said it. It's either win or he's out.
I didn't see a world in which Rupp finishes second and third. It was a win or nothing. And I mean, if you are one of these other guys and you take notice of the fact that Rupp is starting to hurt a little bit, you don't lay off.
No, you got to go.
Because I was once in a race in which Rupp had an asthma attack in the middle of it. I was like, wow, I'm going to beat Galen Rupp. Caught his breath, came flying by.
Galen Rupp had an asthma attack mid-race, still hawked you down. Classic. But yeah, I think he's off at this point. He's not gonna. Probably not coming
All
back.
right. Women's halfway split. Kira D'Amato, Dakota Lindworm, Fiona O'Keefe, Sarah Hall, Emily Durgan, McKenna Myler, Carolyn Rotich. Wow. Emily Sisson, Nell Rojas, Lindsay Flanagan, Betsy Sena, Annie Frisbee. That is your lead pack that came through in 71-43.
Emily Durgan inching towards the front. Looking good.
Clayton Young, I think, up there.
So Panning's arm carriage has noticeably changed the last few miles. Is that fair to say?
I think he still looks good. I can't like.
Yeah, give me a form check. Who's good? Who's looking good? Who's laboring a little bit more?
I mean,
Oh, we cut away from the men.
there's still a lot of race out there, and Rupp dropped off, and that just shows you how the work that Panning's putting in is starting to pay off. And I wonder if he knows that, if he's got a sense, who's still with him. He hasn't seen, nobody's even pulled up alongside him for the whole race.
17th mile, fastest of the race so far,
Wow.
4:44.
All right.
So they were under 2:08 pace, and they keep dipping further and further below. So Zach Panning grinding and taking anyone who's brave enough to go with him there.
Wow.
And for Rupp, that was a 4:49. So, he was 6 seconds back at 17 miles, and I think that was starting to grow. So now we are down to about 7 men in that lead pack. Zach Panning, Tashomi Mekinen, Clayton Young, Connor Mance, Leonard Career, Andrew Colley, and Elkanah Kabet.
This women's lead pack is just incredible.
They all look fantastic.
Yeah.
I think these 5:30 miles are well within all of their wheelhouse. So now I'm intrigued to see who's going to be the one to make the move. They're playing poker out here. Everyone's just trying to keep it chill, stay relaxed, and see who's going to go for it first.
Who's your guess on who's going to be the one to make the move?
I mean, it just seems like Fiona is itching to go. She just seems like she feels good, full of energy. She's been at the front of this group pretty much the whole time.
She's starting to make
I mean,
a
I think
little
she might
something.
be doing it.
Yep, and Kira's matching it immediately. Sisson's just hanging in the back of that pack. But again, you've got to remember, look to the board. Sisson's run a marathon at 5:16 pace before. She trains in Arizona. This heat is This is
Been here the
not
last
something.
3 weeks.
Some people are like creating infrared chambers. Emily just has to run after 6 a.m.
If we go to the women's splits, Des Linden clawing her way. She was like in the 20s, now up 5 positions from the last mile to 15th place. I know she's got a lot of fans in the chat.
I mean, I love the fact that everyone had to make top 3 predictions because it just gives you such a rooting interest. Like, I'm going so hard for Lindsay Flanagan right now just to prove the haters wrong.
Yeah.
Sara Hall looks good. Look, there was questions. She decided not to run the Houston half. Is she 100%? And she looks 110%.
She looks
looks
good,
super
yeah.
strong right now in her 8th Olympic trials.
She does the thing where her neck kind of goes back a little bit, but it's not quite there just yet.
Well, she does. Yeah, she does lean forward a bit.
All right, women 14 split, 5:34. Fiona O'Keefe continues to lead the way. Remember, halfway for the women, they were 71:43. So that is 2:23:30-ish. It's not slow. It's not, many of these women have not been here before. That is a faster time than many of their personal bests.
Kyle, I think Lindsay looks the best in this field right now. I'm not going to lie. She looks incredible on the right. So you can't see her in the pack right now. She's in the back right side, but she's looking strong.
Oh.
And look at Pookie looking like absolute fire. Zach Panning continuing to grind this thing down. The boy is stringing out the field. We're coming up to 18 miles. He's going to come pass by us soon.
He wants to take this thing
Sweet
wire
boy.
to wire.
Just a sweet little boy.
Let's go, Pookie!
Pookie looking amazing.
We got Zach Panning, Connor Mance, Clayton Young. They're saying he has a shot. Andrew Colley on their heels. Elkanah Kibet 3 steps behind. Then we've got a larger gap back to Lenny Courier in 6th place.
They were down to 5. Look at Clayton Young firing up the crowd a little
Shomi
bit.
McKinnon, Galen Rupp,
Galen's still in
Nathan
it.
Martin, round out your top 10. Has that gap gotten too big? Is it really just a 5-man race now? Courier, there's a few seconds back. I think Kibet is still very much in contention. Based off of the way they look, I think it's a 4-man race.
Clayton, yes! Clayton has a shot.
Clayton's fire. Clayton might win this whole damn thing.
He's going to win
I mean,
the damn thing.
you can't see these guys like anyone's coming back to these guys. Like you've got to stick with these, with the moves Panning's making, or you're off.
Wow.
Holly looks great.
I don't know if you can tell, Clayton's like in a vibe right now.
Yes.
Smiling, he's having a great time.
Looking so relaxed, so smooth.
Frank Lara's having a solid race in about 12th place or so right now.
The Lenny Courier stalking, like because you can see him in the shadows a little bit, is a little scary. Knowing his foot speed at the end of a race, but this is a big gap.
Yeah, I mean, if you let I think he's gone at this point.
We've got 4,600 people in the chat. We've got, 38 minutes left of men's racing.
Who you got? Oh man,
You can really see on the turn who's looking good and how you coming off those bends. Elkanah looks like he's really trying to hold on.
oh commercial.
But he is
break.
holding on right now. And we're gonna build some suspense. We're gonna put in a commercial.
And when we come back, there might be
Who
two
knows?
guys
There might be.
left.
Yeah, we might know the Olympic team by the time we come back from commercial.
I mean, Zach Panning, Connor Mance, Clayton Young. I mean, it's down to 4, and it's really who can last.
Oh my gosh.
we've got a big pack. This looks like 15 guys led by A lot of Boulder guys running together.
Saw Reed Fisher, Connor Winter, training partners, friends from Boulder.
I'm jacked up. The only person with more energy right now is Clayton Young.
To be pumping up the crowd, you must feel really good.
Sara, your husband's texting me. He's saying Annie Frisbee's making this team.
What?
You got to remember how good she looked in New York in her debut. Like, Annie Frisbee is talented. We know that Minnesota, there's something in those lakes. She's running well. Her and Dakota Lindworm still very much in it.
Yeah, and how much confidence does that give you? You know, she trains with Dakota. She sees Dakota up there pushing pace, looking relaxed. They're in this together.
So much teamwork on display so far, I think. You highlighted it earlier. We're seeing what happens.
Mac, I want a poll. Throw a poll in the chat. Does Zach Panning win this thing?
Someone texted me a question for us. I'm curious what you think. When will Connor Mance drop the hammer? Or, because he does that in races, is he biding his time? From the looks of it, he looks a little bit like he's working harder than the other guys.
Connor was working hard the first mile, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fast enough where it's not like Connor right now is thinking like, when do I drop the hammer? He's stringing it along. You got to hold on. I mean, I wonder how Zach Panning's feeling. I mean, he's run. It's been just him up front.
I mean,
to get no help from anyone else.
You
so
don't take a
different
chance.
level of strength.
You don't take a chance until there's 3, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Qualify, and there's still a lot of time left. Like,
and especially it's down to it's down to 3-4 guys. So I mean,
19 miles, 4:53 for Panning, and now there's only three. There's only three.
Yeah.
Zach Panning, Connor Mance, Clayton Young.
I like that team if that's what holds up.
Courier doesn't look bad. He's starting to. Don't sleep on Courier to close this gap.
I mean, there's still a lot of time.
So 19 miles. They're still rolling under the 2:08:10 pace. Zach Panning very much. Hey, I said it. I'm gonna keep saying it. He was beating 2:07 guys at Worlds. If you're beating 2:07 guys, you can run 2:07.
I mean, the way he's running this race demonstrates he clearly knows what he's capable of. He's not afraid to go out there and try.
There's so many women here together, huh?
It's funny. We were thinking that the men's races kind of play out like the women's race is playing out, and the men's race, played out like the women's race.
I think a big moment for the men is going to be leading into that 21st mile. That's going to be the final hill, like the final real hill that they're going to run on. And that's when we're going to see, is this going to be the top 3 that's going to hold on?
All right, something happened that we're getting a replay here. Oh, is it the Clayton Young hat
Tongue
swatch?
out.
Oh!
Between Connor Mance and Clayton Young.
Mid-race.
Oh my God, the coffee is flowing.
We're calling it.
Calling, guys. A great show, everyone. Oh my God.
Connor Mance, Clayton Young
They're having so much fun
are
out
making
there.
this Olympic team. CITIUS Mag officially calling it.
Key race alert.
Key race alert. The high five.
He just wanted a bottle. He wanted a bottle, and he's getting a high five. Oh my God.
I mean, that's one of the coolest things.
That was sick. They're going to talk about that
Forever.
You can hear the BYU campus erupting.
Oh, I wish we had a camera on the watch party in Provo.
That was so good. So Panning just continues to grind it out. You gotta demoralize Lenny Courier right now, who looks very good.
Look at Clayton Young just looking off to the crowd at this point.
He's enjoying it. But guys,
Those guys
Lenny
are
Courier
charging.
is closing the gap. He is rolling right now. He is not done. This race is not over. It's heating up. It's heating up. Humidity's dropping.
We got an update from the course. Galen Rupp is cramping and walking. Not good. I did see a very funny comment in the chat that Clayton Young and Connor Mance are about to pass Zach Panning and fist bump right in his face.
I mean, Zach Panning deserves it at this point.
He deserves all.
He deserves all. I mean, he deserves a spot on that team.
Update on the women's race. It is still so many people in it. This is a lead pack of like 10.
Yeah, it's anybody.
Fiona
Yeah.
O'Keefe is the one who's got her foot on the gas, pressing. I'll go to the latest women's split as they come up on mile 15. Fiona O'Keefe just dropped a 5:29 to lead the field there, so they are still under that 2:26.50 pace. And a reminder to people, Fiona needs to hit at least under 2:29.30 to be eligible for the Olympic team. They're way ahead of that. Lindsay Flanagan, Sarah Hall, McKenna Myler, Emily Sisson, Carolyn Rotich, Dakota Lindworm, Emily Durgan, Nell Rojas, Betsy Sena, Kira D'Amato, Frisbee.
McKenna Myler.
McKenna Myler.
She's looking around. She looks great.
A very good race. Men 20 mile 4:51. They are not slowing down. It is 8 seconds back to Lenny Courier. So is this the team? We got a 10K to run.
Career 8 seconds back.
I mean, they got to close that. They got to start closing that gap. I mean,
Sarah, you were right. It's Fiona up in the front, still pressing. But Betsy Sena and Carolyn Rotich are the ones on her heels.
Yeah, still got all of our major players right here.
As the women come through 16 miles. That last mile, 5:26. Fiona is continuing to pick it up here. And that lead pack, 9 within 2 seconds, and then a small gap back to Annie Frisbee. Caroline Rotich she was slept on.
Carol, she looks great. Her form is about perfect right now.
So again, Caroline Rotich switched to America in October 2023. She became eligible. Clayton, people are taunting us. Look, we know Clayton has a shot. We've never doubted Clayton. We just knew we needed some motivation.
Clayton's brother was here. Clayton's having the time of his life right now.
All right, so we still have this. It seems like they're starting to get thinned out a little bit on the women's side. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. That's fair to say.
I mean, Emily Sisson has been so quiet, but she looks good, right?
Yeah, she looks good. I think she's running the right race.
Yeah, where is Kira? Kira D'Amato is not in that front pack.
She's 5 seconds back.
She's 5
At the last
seconds off.
split, so she's good.
Keep a close eye on that. Sara Hall looking strong. Betsy Sena's just chilling. Just chilling. Oh my God, Sara Hall. Where'd you find that gel? There you go. A lot of athletes with the gels
In the top.
in the top or wrapping around the bottle.
Yeah.
She's down that quick. That is a veteran move. No one else in this race has run under 2:23 5 times. That consistency is Sara Hall. Look, she puts up another performance like that. it might be enough right here. But, you know, the women are running about 2:23 pace. She's been here.
That'll be a hell of a debut for Fiona O'Keefe if she holds on. Emily Durgan still in it.
So the women's projected time right now is 2:23.26 for some perspective.
Sam Chalenga and Jake Riley are out.
Have both dropped out of the race. Look, that's what's gonna you run this until the very end. You go until you're not top 3 anymore. You take those chances.
Is Lenny coming back?
Yeah, how many seconds is that gap? It said 9 seconds. If he can hold it there.
Lenny was 8 seconds back at 20 miles, and we're about to get that 21 split. Get an idea if that gap has closed at all.
I mean, this is an this effort from Zach Panning is pretty unbelievable. In these conditions, it's just you can't understate, you can't overstate it. I mean, so impressive. He's just from the front, no help at all, broken the entire field, and is now down to Clayton Young and Connor Mance. It's wild.
Well, Kyle, you gotta, and Chris, like, we were in Budapest. Like, these are way better conditions than
Better
out there.
conditions.
Way
here.
better conditions and a faster course. Like, it adds up well for Zach here. Like, he's been here before. And the 21 split, let's get an idea of how far back Lenny is. They slowed down a hair, 4:59. They're on 2:07.45 is the projected pace. Lenny has not yet popped up. So is this
Is this it? 16.
16
That's
seconds
a lot.
back?
The gap's growing.
So it's
Yeah.
grown. So now if you're Zach, Connor, and Clayton, do you say, like, let's just keep it here for a couple miles, make sure we lock in this team, and then we'll see who gets the big prize money at the end?
I mean, they only have 25 seconds of wiggle room to lock up that third spot right now, right? So they don't want to chill too much.
No, it's true. I mean, it's growing, but they can't really let off the gas.
No.
But I don't think you take the chance yet of, like, doing something crazy.
Right.
You don't
Still
try to
a lot
win
of
yet.
race left to run in America.
I just had a nightmare situation pop through my head of, like, what if, and right now they're under, right? Oh, the guys are under 2:08 pace,
We got a break in the women's
but
race.
it's
Yeah,
close.
look at this.
Fiona's made the move. She's made a move. She's made a move. We'll find out if it's the move soon, but she's got a solid second now. Back to second place.
Connor Mance
Is checking the watch and chirping at Clayton. I wonder what they're saying out there.
Well, so here's the thing that, like, Clayton and Connor, I don't think you can let up on that scenario that you ran through before, because if they're only at 2:07.57 pace, you can't risk slowing down.
Yeah, but you
and
can
get under 2:08.10. Like, if then the winning time is just a tad over 2:08.10 and Panning doesn't get that mark, then we don't unlock the spot.
It's true.
So don't slow it down,
Not
guys.
too much slowing down.
Don't slow down.
So at 17 miles for the women, it is now a pack of 7 within a second and a half. Then back to Dakota and Lindsay Flanagan, 4 seconds behind. And then Frisbee, Rojas, and then Keira D'Amato is now 27 seconds back.
I like how they keep having to refresh the viewers on the qualifying procedures, because it is a little complex, but it can be made easier here if Zach Panning gets under 2:08.10.
Just make it easy for us, Zach. Just get under.
As if, like, leading the whole race wire to wire wasn't enough. You got one more thing to do here, and that's run a little bit faster.
They're saying in the chat, according to the message boards, that Kali stopped at the med tent or porta potty.
Damn.
Look, I think this is our 3 barring
Yeah.
disaster, right?
But then
Yeah.
We're rooting for Zach to get under that 2:08.10.
those shorts are soaked.
Those are wet. What do we think? Clayton's winning. Clayton's winning.
Clayton's winning.
I mean, and they've just had to sit on Zach Panning. I mean, it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a little bit easier for these guys to summon more than Zach does if it comes down to them at the end.
Panning's
Unbelievable
face,
effort.
gritting his teeth a little bit here.
I hope Panning can hold on. Clayton looks fantastic. Connor looks good.
Clayton looks so composed.
Connor's doing a lot of watch checking.
Because I think Connor is aware of what's happening in terms of just like Panning needs to get the time so that the three of them can go, unless if Mance and Young pull away, then they'll be fine, but they don't want to risk Clayton being third and then not.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what's happening. Connor's aware.
Explain it.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. If the pace slows and the winning time is over 2:08.10, then Panning and Mance will go to the Olympics. Clayton will have to wait until May to find out if he gets in via world rankings. If these three all run, or as long as Zach Panning gets under 2:08.10, then these three will go to the Olympics. If Mance wins, Clayton finishes second, they're going.
But if Clayton finishes third,
he'll have to wait until May.
Why? Because I thought he had the A stand.
It gets reallocated based off of finish. So the U.S., even though Clayton or Connor unlock the spot, if they finish in third and Panning wins, Panning gets their slot, and they have to wait for the ranking.
If it's over 2:08.10.
If it's over 2:08.
So
if Panning is 2:08.10 or not.
Mance is checking his watch because he's probably aware of
they're crunching numbers out there.
Mance is.
Yeah.
I think
Mance he's doing a lot of math out there while running the hardest
Panning
race.
is just worried about I gotta run fast and finish in the top three. Mance is probably a little concerned.
Mance is carrying the one out there.
Yeah, he is. So there's some arithmetic involved.
He's got a Casio on. He's typing it in.
So there's some talking happening up there too. All right, then in the women's race now it's down to 7, I think.
Look, it'd be nice if they help Zach at some point.
It would be. This might be it.
Yeah. Zach's like, are you guys really not gonna do anything out there?
Look. He's telling him. He's like, you gotta go.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and then on the women's side, we're down to 5. Fiona O'Keefe, Emily Sisson, Sarah Hall, Betsy Sena, Emily Durgan. Wow. Kira D'Amato is dropped off of that. Lindsay Flanagan.
Here they come.
There's a couple women that are 7 or 8 seconds back.
Fiona O'Keefe, Emily Sisson has moved into second. Sarah Hall, Betsy Sena, and Emily Durgan. That's our top 5. They're all packed up, looking good. Chasing them, Dakota Lindworm, Caroline Rotich, and McKenna Myler. That 18th mile was 5:27 by Fiona O'Keefe up front, pushing the pace. But we're whittling it down.
Lindsay Flanagan on her own for a bit. Annie Frisbee, Kira D'Amato, Nell Rojas.
Oh.
Wow.
Zach Panning's now sitting in the pocket. Let these BYU boys take you to the promised land. Let's go, Zach.
I love the way Fiona O'Keefe is running this race.
Yeah.
Emily Sisson, this is the first time we're seeing Emily.
Yeah. This is so bold by Fiona. This is amazing.
Yeah, I think the BYU guys are aware. Zach doesn't have the energy to say anything. I think he's just receptive to everything that they're telling him.
I'm not necessarily trying to chat right
The only thing he's saying is help.
We got a hat switch.
We got a hat change. Did Panning get water? I don't know if Penning got water.
He's like, guys, I need
Don't-
some.
Don't throw it out. Let me have.
Oh, Fiona is breaking away right now.
All right, does Clayton share his bottle?
Yes. He's a nice guy.
Shared his bottle number 1. I think like
He's like, let me get a little closer to the finish, then I'll let you get a sip.
Oh, okay. He's asking for it.
I mean, if someone asks you for it, it's hard to say no.
yeah.
I mean, I think this is pretty cool. They're sorting out the time right now. All 3 of them.
I mean, the number of people who are going to lose their mind if Sara Hall makes this team, she's in a good spot right now.
Des Linden coming through. She's slowly moving up.
Molly Grable.
Des
right
Linden
behind
is
her.
in 14th place.
Wow. That's a good
This
run.
is Molly in.
Grable's right behind Des Linden in 15th.
Excellent. Love to see that. That's awesome.
The men are approaching 23, so we'll get a better idea of their pace. Because again, that 22nd mile was slow. It was slow. It was 5:07. So like, did we get back under 5? Otherwise, it's going to be very close.
It's going to be tight.
With that 2:08:10 bar. We're just waiting. We're waiting. Where's that 23 split? Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. I mean, I feel good about this being the top 3. They all look like they're composed for another 5K or so.
Yeah, this barn disasters is top 3 for sure.
5:06 for the 23rd mile. So, for perspective, Zach's current projected time is 2:08:19.
Okay.
So we gotta get going.
We gotta go! Hey!
Go!
Oh my God.
He has earned it.
Yes, absolutely.
But so
Recognize that time.
Zach has earned it, but Connor and Clayton have earned the time themselves. So the idea that whoever comes in 3rd does not have the auto spot.
I mean, he's gonna have to.
Honestly, I just don't even get it.
But Zach's. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
they all
yes.
want it. Like, you gotta
Zach-
keep it honest here.
Zach's world ranking is good, right? Check on it.
Good. Yeah.
Because he ran at Worlds, had a good showing. He's got some solid times. I think he'll be good on the quota. You just don't want to have to wait until May.
No, we want to see them have that moment.
Yes.
We want to see them have their moment.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
Fiona O'Keefe has blown it apart.
Betsy Sena, I think, is leading that chase pack.
Betsy Sena, Emily Sisson.
Sara Hall right there, and Emily Durgan behind.
Oh, wow. Amazing run.
Sara Hall versus Betsy Sena, Emily Durgan, Emily Sisson, like that. Those 4 right behind is going to be a war in the next couple miles. Still over 6 miles
Clayton
to go.
Young in the lead.
Young is doing it.
Look at Fiona.
Yeah.
What category meet is this considered? Is it an A?
I think it's A. There's going to be a lot of points that come out of this for the ranking as well. All right, so we're going to get a little bit of a wide shot
Zach
here.
Panning is dying.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He got,
No, Zach.
all right, so
Okay.
if things hold as they are right now,
He is-
Clayton
so-
Young and Connor Mance will go to the Olympics, and their spots are all but secure because they've got the Olympic standard. So they seem to be in the clear.
They look fantastic.
We called the race at the high five a couple miles back. We're just worried about 3rd place right now.
Zach Penning. Zach Penning is in the toughest spot you could ever be in. Like the biggest race of his life, and he's in kind of no man's land with a target on his back. Like, not really sure
With less
who's
than 5K to go.
With less than 5K to go, there's still a lot. Like, when you're hurting, like, you think, oh, he's almost there. But no, he's not almost there. He's got a lot of running to do, and there's a lot of things can go wrong for him at this
So
point.
a reminder to people that at the last mile split,
Oh, my God.
Elkanah Kibet was 38 seconds back of Zach Panning.
Like, so.
And Clayton Young has flipped the hat. Oh, Zach, come on.
It's because of the water bottle. It's because they didn't share the water bottle.
I just shot a text over to the Run Elite program guys. I said, "Hey, we're doing a podcast later with these guys, right?" Ballsy text by me with 2 miles to go to call it already.
All right, so Zach's current ranking is like basically irrelevant because I think he only has one time in the window.
So, how high is he?
Hats off.
He's fixing his hair. These guys have visualized this moment for months. Fiona
Fiona's
O'Keefe.
opened up a serious gap.
Oh my God, Fiona.
Fiona O'Keefe is dominating. Is this the future of U.S. women's distance running?
And that's Emily Sisson right behind her. The future and the current. All right, if you're Emily right now, you've got a gap behind you and a gap in front of you. How do you just you got to hold this? And now this is the real battle right here. Sara Hall versus Betsy Saina versus Emily Durgan for the third and final spot that will go to the Paris Olympics.
Emily Durgan's having an amazing run.
Yeah.
Like no matter how she finishes, this is a huge win for her. Obviously, you're gunning for that third spot. Sara Hall looks great. Betsy Saina, you don't want it.
Elkin is ranking. Look it up. So also,
has the gap closed at all with Zach Panning and Kibet?
The gap is still actually got bigger. It's 42 seconds. No. Actually, no. It's.
I wonder.
It's like 30 seconds. 30 seconds with less than 2 miles to go.
Okay, so that's with less than 2 miles. If he can hold it together somewhat, and I think he's got it.
Zach Panning's current projected estimated finish is 2:08:57.
So there are other guys who can unlock this spot. It's not all up to Zach Panning, just so that's clear. So where's Tishomi McKinnon right now?
Kibet is rolling. We might be a little bit behind on our stream here.
Kibet is coming.
Elkanah Kibet is coming. Jenny Simpson has dropped out.
Elkanah Kibet smells blood in the water. Oh man.
Kibet was 24 seconds back at 24 miles.
Wow. It's getting smaller.
Yeah. But he's running out of real estate. That's a lot. He's still got a big gap to make up with it.
It's going to be very similar to 2020 when
yeah.
it's Lenny Career was charging. Lenny Career might be in that spot again. Fiona O'Keefe.
Fiona O'Keefe is
MVP
a machine
of the day.
Yeah.
If she can hold this.
Just no one told me the
6
marathon
miles.
was so easy. Well, I've been wasting my time doing other events. This is super chill.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Clayton and Connor, they should like just share the money.
Yeah.
Right? Cross the line holding hands.
Yeah, at what point is someone going to say, all right, I'm going for it?
Yeah. I mean, Clayton is just chatting.
He's having
Not
the time of
looking
his
very
life. Now they're
relaxed.
starting to lap some of the women in the back of the pack.
Come on, Zach.
Come on, Zach Panning.
Yeah. I
Shaking
mean,
it
what a
off.
fun moment for Clayton and Connor, like 2 training partners who have basically got it
You
wrapped
can
up
see
now.
Elkin and Cabet in the back.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. This is like, I remember Meb winning the 2014 Boston Marathon. He makes that final turn, but you could start to see the East Africans who have been closing the gap. This is what we have here on our hands.
Such
too.
a brutal spot for Panning to be in. He's just trying to, he's just dying. And I mean, it is
dying.
He's dying. I mean, as he should be. He put in the effort of his lifetime, and now he's just got to try and hold on. He's still got, I mean, I think he's done, unless he really slows down, I think he's got it.
I mean, these two think that Zach Panning's like the third guy right now. They have no clue.
These guys can't know.
They're like, all right, it's good. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting to know Zach. He seems like a really nice guy.
People in the chat wondering what happens if Elkin Cabet gets third. He's in the same holding pattern where he'll have to wait until May to figure out if he makes the team based on how the world rankings shake out. Now, there was a lot of ranking points on the line here today. Fauble dropping out doesn't help because he was the highest ranked American not in the quota. Galen dropping out doesn't help. He was the highest ranked American that was in the quota. So it's like there's a bunch of other guys who need to get in that top 80. How many guys do we have?
I mean, a lot of guys have dropped out. Bias and Bassa is a decent potential to help, but it's not. Nothing is guaranteed. But you know what? You are going to get some points from this, even if you are just outside that 208. All right, 25 miles in. Let's get an update.
1 mile to go.
Connor, 5:03.
They're projected.
Clayton's
finish
got it. Clayton's going to pull away, I think, from Connor.
I'm so glad we changed our minds.
Yeah.
We told you the whole time Clayton Young was going to make it.
All right, so in the women's chase pack, that looks like it is that is Carolyn Rotich moving into the third position. Really charged out of nowhere, I think.
She was off the pack for a while. I mean,
Carolyn Rotich needs to run under this mark because her last marathon since becoming an American was like the reason why no one talked about her coming in is she ran 2:46 at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. Like, if that's the first race after the switch, you're like, okay, I'm glad that paperwork finally got processed, but no one thought of her as a contender coming into here today.
She's so far
She
under
needs
the
this.
2:29.30 pace right now. They're on 2:23 pace.
So on the women's side, top 3 will go.
All right, Zach Panning is 43 seconds back, but 3 seconds behind him is Elkanah Cabet. Cabet's about to pass Panning. They're running 2 completely different paces right now. But don't sleep on Lenny Courier. He's only 15 seconds behind Cabet, and they're running about the same pace.
Panning split a 5:28. Cabet and Courier went 5:07, 5:09. CJ Albertson in 6th place just ran 4:57.
Wow.
So CJ is a minute and 25 behind.
oh man.
Oh no.
Oh,
No.
He laid it all out. I mean,
Amazing run.
amazing.
Amazing run. Amazing effort.
This sport.
Elkanah Cabet, 40 years old.
We've got a women's 21-mile split here. Fiona O'Keefe, 5:27 to go through in 1:54. She's got a 15-second gap on Emily Sisson. Now we're just waiting to see who's in third and what's the gap between them. Carolyn Rotich in third, 40 seconds back of your leader, Fiona O'Keefe. But then right behind her, it's only 3 seconds. Dakota Lindworm, Betsy Sane, Emily Durgan, Sarah Hall, all in it. So the women's race, we've got the top 2, but it's still 5 miles to go.
You see Lenny there. You see him. But it's less than a mile to go. It's just there might not be enough distance at this point.
Man. I wish they would show us a little bit more of the women's race.
I mean, we're going to be able to see Clayton and Connor in the distance here very, very soon.
I hope he points at us.
CITIUS Mag giving athletes the motivation they need to get
The extra little chip on his shoulder he needed for this race.
Yeah, he's giving thumbs up. He's having the time of his life.
There's money on the line. Are they going to race each other?
Oh, that's right. There is money on the line.
I think Clayton has a better kick on the roads historically. He got him in New Haven.
Yep.
I think Clayton looks, I mean,
What is it, $60,000 to the winner?
I think it's
80?
more.
80.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Kudos to Coach Ed Eyestone.
Yeah, BYU,
It was just
like,
pointing
having the best group.
at the CITIUS Cafe, said that's where Eric is.
That's right.
That's
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
said I have no shot.
Yeah. He's going to
We got
stop. We're
40
going to
seconds.
throw
We can stop and
hands.
tell him our true thoughts.
BYU has, I mean, just unarguably like the best marathon group in the country.
I mean, I'm looking at some of these guys who are closing really hard in the men's race. Reed Fisher throwing down a 4:48 in 10th place. Wow. They're coming soon.
Wait, is Zach, what's is that?
Oh, Panning's back in
Is
third.
Panning back in third?
No way. Is that CJ? What's happening?
That can't be.
No. The only update we've had is 25, and there's
This
Clayton
is slightly
Young
the Peacock
pumping
is
up the
slightly
crowd.
delayed.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, let's see on the 26-mile split. We're about to get in 1 second.
So he's gonna grab an American flag. What's he doing? Clayton, that's $20,000. Wow. This is an amazing
great.
moment
Yeah.
that these two
Iconic
guys are going to
moment.
have for the rest of their lives. Best friends, I believe same recruiting class at BYU. The headline that the Wall Street Journal ran with Sara was hilarious, where it's like these guys left for
Here
their
they
mission,
come.
gained 30 pounds, got back to the sport, and here they
The
are.
crowd is
qualifying
chanting
the Olympics.
USA.
Clayton Young, we always believed in you.
Clayton Young, Connor Mann.
Oh, look at, they're going to go hand in
Here they
hand.
come.
Wow.
Wow. What a special moment. Connor Mann's Clayton Young. 1-2. They are heading to Paris to represent the United States in the marathon.
Two tremendously nice guys. Oh, and then in the back.
What an amazing
Back,
job.
we have a full-on race for third.
Oh my.
CJ
Lenny
Albertson
Courier
is closing hard.
has caught Elkanah Kebet. Lenny Courier is ahead of Elkanah Kebet at 26 miles.
Let's go!
Wow.
Lenny Courier has dropped Elkanah Kebet. Lenny Courier has dropped Elkanah Kebet. Lenny Courier has dropped Elkanah Kebet.
Lenny Courier, 4
Oh
years
my
after getting
God.
fourth,
Let's
comes
go.
back, snags the third
Ama-
spot, heading to Paris.
Lenny Courier is on his way to Paris out of nowhere.
But look at the
Elkanah Kebet,
What?
fourth. Connor Mann actually wins it. Clayton Young, second place. They asked who has the bigger bonus. And here comes CJ Albertson in fifth.
you can
And
kind
I
of
hope the crowd gives Zach Panning some kudos. Oh my.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Oh wow.
Personally, I like the team.
I like the team.
This is great.
That's amazing.
Zach Panning getting a hero's welcome.
CJ Albertson was closing so hard that like he just ran out of real estate, maybe mistimed the whole kick. Lenny Courier.
CJ closed so hard.
Wow. What a race.
Wow. Elkanah Kibet, massive effort. CJ gave it his all.
Unbelievable. Update on the women's race. Fiona O'Keefe, Emily Sisson, and Dakota Lindworm has entered the chat.
But the Carolyn Rodich right on her heels, just 1 second back. Then behind them, 6 seconds, Sarah Hall, Emily Durgan.
Dakota Lindworm has entered the chat. The women have 4 miles to run.
Oh, is this gonna be, are they coming right behind us?
We have unbelievable.
I think Clayton Young is on his way right here, right now to just give us
And there's
his
Fiona
thoughts.
O'Keefe, our leader on the women's side. She dropped a 5:27 last mile. Emily Sisson was 21 seconds back, running 5:32. Dakota Lindworm was 50 seconds back. Ran a 5:40 to Carolyn Rotich's 5:43. Sarah Hall,
Okay,
5:47.
We're getting a replay of what's happening here because Betsy Sena is not on this. Betsy Sena
Sena's
dropped
dropped.
out.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
While in position. more
All
or
in
less.
position very late in the race.
Something happened. She's
Something
grabbing
happened,
that.
yeah.
No.
Oh. Just overheating, I guess.
Oh my
she went
God.
immediately to the shade.
Drama of the Olympic trials.
Wow.
I can't believe Lenny Career just came back. CJ, if it was another quarter mile, might have had it.
Yeah, I know. He was sprinting at the end.
What was his last mile split?
CJ Albertson's final mile was, I think they're still populating here in the results. But before that, he had 4:58, and then at the finish, kind of waiting. I'll get it for you at some point. Fiona, this is a masterclass so far from Fiona O'Keefe.
So Lenny needs to go find a fast half. Lenny. Right?
I don't even know how it works.
Lenny
I'm
Career-
stoked for Lenny Career.
Yes. So for the people wondering, Lenny Career needs to get his world ranking up or
On
just
May 5th, you need to be in the top 80 in the world rankings. It just needs to be anyone from the U.S. needs to be in the top 80, which we think is good. We like the possibility. This will help Lenny today. And if he runs a fast half, he can lock it up. Galen Rupp did finish.
Wow. Well, that's good for the rankings
That is good for this.
because he's gonna get points. So he'll.
Good, but at this point, he's running 2:14. It's not really moving the needle.
All right, Lenny Career was 4:58 final mile.
I mean, Fiona O'Keefe just putting on an absolute clinic right now. The fastest ever debut as a half marathon for an American. Showing it translates. That's why we got to keep the half qualifier.
Man, so much confidence to just go to the front of this field and put this gap on everybody and go for it.
O'Keefe has a bloody nose right now. And this is the race we're watching. Dakota Lindworm versus Caroline Rotich.
Wow.
Emily Sisson's just got to
Emily
stay
Sisson-
composed here the next few miles.
Emily Sisson running the Chicago Marathon with a side stitch that kind of derailed the final miles, but still keeping her composure. I mean, good trial run for something like this, where it's sort of like, all right, now you're in no man's land. Just hold it together. Hold it together.
I mean, I'm interested to see what Fiona's 23-mile split is because she looks like she's hurting. Is that fair to say? Like, she's obviously crushing everyone, but the hurt
Now
has
she's
come
laboring
on.
a little bit. There's just no shade cover on this course. It's getting hot. She's looking around.
You almost just got to let off the gas a hair. Don't try to, like, push through it. Just dial back a few seconds a mile. Oh, my God. Well, her third mile was 5:21. She's fine.
She's fine.
She's fine.
Crushing.
That's why she's hurting.
crushing.
5:21 for the 23rd mile.
Like, that's only a hair off of The American record.
Her projected pace, 2:22.39.
Hell of a debut if that happens. Oh my
Fiona
god.
O'Keefe.
Is a marathoner.
We got 3 more miles.
Wow.
What is the fastest debut for an American woman?
It was Sarah Vaughn.
It was Fiona O'Keefe. Oh,
No, for
fastest.
marathon. It was Sarah Vaughn, I think, or she was like in the top 5. Kara Goucher was up there one year. I forget. I can look it up.
Is it Sisson in London?
We're
223.
gonna say Boston. I think one year was 223.
All right, second place, Emily Sisson, 30 seconds back from Fiona O'Keefe. Running a 5:30, 23rd mile. So we're looking good. Emily's looking good.
Staying solid.
The question now is third. Where are they at 23 miles? I cannot believe we're getting commercials for Inception. Not even a new movie. Dakota Lindworm and Caroline Rotich are separated by 1 second. Their last mile was 5:46.
Wow. All right. You'd feel good about any of these top 5 women making the Olympic team, right?
Yeah, I mean. So Sarah Hall is 14 seconds behind Dakota and Caroline right now.
The way Caroline Rotich is just running on Dakota Lindworm's heels has me a little bit worried for Dakota. It's like, all right, does Rotich think she has one extra gear left?
The men are coming piling in right now. Oh my God. Look, McKenna Myler, she's probably too far back, but what a race. She's in 7th.
Amazing race.
It was unclear what happened with the Clayton and Connor. Like, that didn't seem like an all-out.
It almost seemed like Clayton kind of like gave him the first place spot. A gentleman. But you never know. You never know. Regardless, amazing race.
Oh, yeah. Mac is yelling that Jessica McLean, formerly Ton, is in
she's
8th place
it.
having a great race.
Whoa.
We got a message
love to
from
hear
Sarah
that.
Lesko, who's like, that is a sleeper pick to keep an eye out.
All right,
Or-
I want a sprint finish for this third spot. I want chaos. All right, the men at this point, we've had, just to call it out, 25 finishers. Reed Fisher was 9th, Josh Izowski 8th, Nathan Martin 7th.
Great race by Reed.
All right, we're just sitting here waiting. We have no idea what's happening. We got no
I
idea.
had no idea what's going on.
I mean, Fiona O'Keefe, it's funny the way that I was like, oh, she's starting to get tired. And then you see the split.
Just accelerating.
All right, Emily Sisson was 30 seconds back from Fiona O'Keefe. Is there any world where she's catching, or is this Fiona's now?
Fiona's, I mean, dropping 5:21, I think she feels good.
Yeah.
I think she would have relaxed if she didn't feel good.
That gap was opening up, not
Yeah.
closing down.
Yeah. She's got momentum on her side.
It just feels like we totally, and we said this on the women's side, like there's a chance someone makes it whose name we never said, and we never said Caroline Rotich's name once.
No.
Part of that reason is she switched allegiance in October, and she hadn't run super fast recently. She ran 72 for the half this year and 246 for the full. But the thing is, like, Caroline Rotich, she's 39 years old. Like, she's been in the game for a long time. She ran 223 before in Chicago in 2012. And guess what? That was good for her 4th place. She's a potential, she's podium plenty of times. Like, we just slept on her because we're looking at things that she's done most recently.
Yeah.
We really got to see the race here.
I know this interview's killing me. I love Clayton Young, but like we got to get back to the
We
race.
really got to see. All right, we need a.
All right, we don't need the replay. Clayton. Okay, so someone did throw out the conspiracy theory in the chat that Clayton letting Connor take the win improved the chances of American Men having someone in the top 80 to get that third spot. But that doesn't make a difference because these two already got those spots.
Yeah. All right, Dakota Lindworm. I wanted to see. All right, 24 miles. That was a 5:23 from Fiona O'Keefe, a 5:32 from Emily Sisson, who's 39 seconds back. You see where Dakota Lindworm and Caroline Rotich is. Huh?
Clayton called out CITIUS on the coverage. Amazing. Listen, I thought we had split screen technology that we showcased beforehand.
Where is Caroline? Oh, here's the high five again.
The high five is epic. That's when we called the race.
That was the end. All right, let's see the women. The trial, the men and women should be on 2 different days. Like,
come on. We want to see the women's race.
Dakota Lindworm and Caroline Rotich are neck and neck still, a minute 51 behind Fiona O'Keefe.
Separated by 0.3 seconds.
I'm just going to say they're not running fast anymore. They've slowed down significantly.
Right. So let's keep an eye out on who's in 5th. I think it's Sarah Hall.
Dakota Lindworm and Caroline Rotich ran a 5:53, 24th mile. They've fallen off a little. Dakota Lindworm, last year's Grandma's champion, she was 2nd this year. Caroline Rotich, the vet, was the 2015 Boston Marathon
Finally,
champion.
we get the split screen. That is the battle for 3rd right there. Dakota Lindworm and Caroline Rotich.
Sarah Hall's falling too far off. She's
How far back is
she's
she?
All right. At this point,
28 seconds back and slower.
Who's the CJ Albertson here who saved something and is closing hard? Is it Emily Juergens?
Emily Juergens hurting too much.
McKenna Myler. They're all. It's a
Everyone is-
sufferfest out there.
There is no one burning through this field right now. Except Jessica McLean
Jessica McLean.
is running the fastest out of the top 8.
So the gap between her and it's a minute.
The gap between her and 3rd is 1 minute, and she's running 9 seconds a mile faster.
Wow.
So if everything holds, she'll be about 40 seconds behind at the finish, but if they die a little bit, which they are not rolling right now. So Dakota Lindworm versus Caroline Rotich. A painful 24th mile, and the next 2 are only going to be harder. Oh my God. They're hot. It is hot out. It is hot out.
It's hot.
Go back to the splits. Yeah.
So Fiona O'Keefe, 5:23 last mile. They're not even showing her. They say we'll show her at the finish. Is Dakota Lindworm gonna pull this off? She was overlooked. So is Caroline Rotich.
I think Lindworm's gonna do it.
Those 130-mile weeks now in Dakota Lindworm's legs, what are they worth? And you muscle out another 2 miles. Oh, baby. It is warm out there right now. Fiona O'Keefe is approaching 25 miles. She has shown no sign of slowing down. The Stanford Great. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh, wow.
5:09 for Fiona O'Keefe.
Wow.
By far the fastest mile of the race in the 25th mile.
That's
On the-
got to be.
She is on 2:22:17 pace right now.
If we went back 15 minutes ago, Kyle was worried. This is her debut.
5:09 for the 25th mile by herself in her marathon debut on the biggest stage. It is hot out. It is 71 degrees in Orlando right now. Noses are bleeding. Paces are not slowing. Emily Sisson, 5:10, 40 seconds back.
Oh, wow.
I feel good about those two.
Yeah,
Definitely, yes.
Definitely good with those two.
Wow, 1 mile to go for Fiona O'Keefe. And it's just a sufferfest between Caroline Rotich, the 2015 Boston Marathon champion, just became U.S. eligible in October, and Dakota Lindworm, the workhorse out of Minnesota. She's going to be smiling across that finish line, I'll tell you that much.
All right, this better be the last commercial break.
I want to give a shout out to the 5,000 people in the chat yelling at their screens with us, especially during commercials. We're
If
going to
you
see
haven't subscribed to our channel, be sure to do so. Smash that subscribe button. We're going to be doing things like this all year
smash
round.
the subscribe button. We're just waiting for that 25th mile to pop up. And Dakota Lindworm has a clear
it's got a
gap
gap.
at this point.
Wow.
That's got to be what, 25 meters at least?
Yeah. Is that Jessica McLean closing?
Yeah.
I want to see who that is in 5th place.
It'd be insane if it's.
That doesn't look like Sara Hall.
No.
That might be Jessica.
Oh,
Or
McKenna
Myler?
Myler.
Dakota Lindworm, 5:44 last mile, so she rallied. Carolyn
Rotich in 4th.
That was they are spread out between them by 11 seconds. Dakota's just got to stay put. Hold it together.
Yeah, Sisson's just by herself. But she
still looks
done
good.
this at
Yeah.
USATF races where it's like, oh, the 21K championships, like this is it. No, oh yeah.
5th place was Sara Hall. She is 33 seconds back. So
Yeah, it's weird to see Sisson lose to an American, but also like Fiona O'Keefe has never lost a marathon, so makes you think at the end of the day.
oh wow. Jessica McLean threw down a 5:35. She's rolling. She's 50 seconds back from Dakota, running 9 seconds a mile faster. It's probably not enough real estate on this course left.
Give a little context and kudos, I guess, to Jessica McLean's like background, where she ran at Stanford, spent some time with the Brooks Beast, and then kind of like I think took a break
Took
from
a
the
little
sport.
break, and then
Yeah.
I think has found a home in the marathon. She, I believe, works full time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like finding a way to currently be 6th at the Olympic trials, and honestly is positioning well for 4th or 5th.
Fiona O'Keefe looks like she's going faster now.
Fiona O'Keefe is picking it up.
It's like she's flying.
Remember when we interviewed her at TRE in 2022, and it was like, oh, you're going to be a great marathoner someday. Like, we knew.
We called it. Find the clip.
Yeah, find the clip. We called it.
She is absolutely rolling here.
Oh, someone said, is that
Oh my God, we got $100 from Sam Gattuso. Hell yes, thank you. Shout out.
We're drinking. Colin Hall gave us $10.
Hell yeah. That could have gone towards 10 people's Peacock subscription.
Is that blood on her bib?
Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody makes her bleed her own blood. She did this to herself.
Is that the 600 meter to go mark? She's sprinting.
She is there. Fiona O'Keefe is absolutely rolling here. The Stanford grad training now with Puma down in the triangle, North Carolina, under Amy and Alistair Craig. Our friend Luke told us, he warned us, Fiona is fit.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on her.
Oh, she had a nosebleed, it seems
And
like.
there she is running by.
Here she comes.
This marathon took everything.
Fiona O'Keefe.
One hell of a debut.
Fiona O'Keefe. In her marathon debut, she was the fastest American as a debutante in the half, and she comes out here to the Olympic trials, first time at the distance, not only wins this thing, smashes this thing, as she runs under
Sisson with a strong close
2:22.
too.
What is this official time? What an insane, it's over 70 degrees out in Orlando. Fiona O'Keefe. They called her a dark horse. They undervalued her on the CITIUS Mag podcast, and she's proven us wrong. She's going to the big meet in Paris. Fiona O'Keefe, 2:22.09.
Stopping the watch. That's going to be on Strava later.
That 26th mile.
Wow.
Learn it soon.
Absolutely amazing.
And this is the first time she's looked back and she sees the American record holder charging hard. Emily Sisson in second place. I mean, incredible. After four years ago dropping out, she's taken to the marathon exceptionally well. Now we'll get a chance to contend against the best in the world at the Paris Olympics.
Shout out to Adam Watson. Thank you for your support. Love being able to watch this with so many people. What an exciting day. And now is it going to be Dakota Lindworm? I mean, Dakota Lindworm putting on for D2 athletes everywhere right now.
That's huge.
The former Northern State University in Aberdeen, South Dakota, the pipeline to the Olympics. Can she hold on here? Dakota Lindworm looks like she's running clear of fourth place previously, Caroline Rotich. She's got less than 400 meters left. That last mile was 6:05. Like, she is hurting. She is hurting, but she knows what is waiting on the other side here. And we see her. And fourth place is far behind. But you know who fourth is? It's Jessica McLean. Look, the 6 months away, having a strong alternate is important. Dakota Lindworm running for Puma and Team Minnesota. Oh my gosh, Fiona O'Keefe. Emily Sisson. Dakota Lindworm. Get over to Dakota Lindworm Strava right now. See the work that she's been putting in that has set her up for this moment. She ran 2:24 in Chicago this October, and the fitness has exploded here in the last few months. She runs 2:25 out here in the heat. Dakota Lindworm, baby.
Incredible.
And look at Jessica.
Jess McLean.
Wow. She needed like an extra 800 meters.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yes.
She
that
can't
is
believe
shock.
it. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Dakota Lindworm. Unbelievable. D2 out of Northern State University in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Joins Team Minnesota. Congratulations. What a team. As Sarah Hall, Caroline Rotich behind her. McKenna Myler, unbelievable performance.
Wow, these people are being generous in the chat with some of their money. We appreciate it. Shout out to Sarah Cullen, Cycling with Jeff, Adam Coy.
We're trying to get us streaming rights.
So if we get enough of you,
Thank you, Danielle Matsumoto. Jesus.
wow.
We're going to be going live with a lot of these athletes for interviews at some point later.
We're going to try our best to
We're going
get
to try
as
our
many
best
as
to sit down
possible.
with some of them.
But, all right, the action just ended. Let's take this as like the start of our post-game show. What did we make of both these races? Just epic from start to finish, tons of surprises. How would you describe both those races?
Oh man, I mean,
You're at a loss for words.
the men's race was I mean, both races were great. I mean, as you saw, we didn't pick those teams. Zach Panning made the men's race on the men's side. Unbelievable race. The women's race was incredible. Fiona O'Keefe, Fiona O'Keefe dominated that race. I mean, took a huge effort, looked fantastic the whole time. Her fastest splits were the last couple miles of the race.
Sarah was team Fiona.
Yes, like
What did you see
Brag.
beforehand? Like take your flowers a little bit.
All the flowers are Fiona only. That was absolutely incredible. And I mean, she's someone that just historically has gotten better over longer distances. Fastest American half marathon debut of all time. And I mean, huge props to her. That was an incredible run.
So let's break down biggest winners of the day. Obviously, Clayton Young got the final word from us, and Connor Mance. Those two ran away with it, had the time of their lives. Biggest winners of the day. How do we feel about them as contenders in Paris? Like, these are two guys who, like, grind boys, as we've described them. They're going to put in the work to not just be there and celebrate. Connor Mance has never been more motivated to try and crack a podium.
Yeah, like you have to feel good after like beating this field the way that wasn't an all-out. Is that fair to say? Like that wasn't an all-out effort.
Pretty relaxed. Yeah.
So I mean, I feel good about it. Like you've seen before in majors that Connor's not scared to mix it up with the big boys, and the trajectory is great right now, and they keep getting better. I think this is good practice for championship racing. I don't know, like. I don't know if it's saying like they're going to get medals, but I feel good about top 10 potential for sure.
And it seems like they're both going to walk away from that with only positive momentum, feeling pretty good, honestly. They both looked controlled. They looked, fairly effortless throughout.
What was your favorite moment from Connor and Clayton's race? I mean, it's hard to top that high five.
Oh man, I mean, like what sticks out to the ending was the last couple of miles was interesting. It seemed like like it wasn't necessarily like a sprint to the finish, so that was interesting. I mean, I'm just the effort it took by Zach Panning to string the whole thing out when one by one basically eliminated every single guy, and then unfortunately himself It takes such balls to do that. It's great, and you feel for the guy. Lenny Courier staying in the race, and then eventually being able to close down and get that third spot, absolutely huge. So for the men's race was fantastic. The women's race, none of us called that. Fiona O'Keefe dominated Emily Sisson, the American record holder. We all had Betsy Sena up there. She didn't have her day. Dakota Lindworm, the women's race was kind of played out like we thought the men's race would. We thought that the women's race was kind of the Titans locked it up for the top 3 spots, and that proved not to be the case. So it's incredibly entertaining.
If we went back 48 hours and you said when people rattle off these random names and you end of the day process the results and that's the team, you wouldn't have thought it. I think we got that definitely on the women's side.
Yeah, the men's team that would have been palatable.
Yeah.
Previously, I thought Fiona and Dakota were both 2 wild cards, and to see 2 wild cards on the team, and they're not wild cards, obviously. You have to remember we haven't seen them for months and months. We don't know what's going on. I don't know if we would have believed that team. Kira D'Amato and Betsy Sena is just about everyone's pick.
Right. And then it's kind of one of the mysteries about the marathon, right, is people go into these kind of blocks of isolation for multiple months at a time. We might not see them racing much, and they sort of come out of it and show up at the trials. And to those of us watching, it's a bit of a mystery.
All right. Anything else stick out to you, Kyle?
I'd be curious to know, who are you guys hurting for the most right now?
Panning's a big one. Kira D'Amato, I think, is another one who faded from the results or from the tracker. I think in the second half of the race, just how much she put into it. I'm still gutted for Scott. He was out so early.
Yeah, it's tough for. Scott, I think, peeled off at the 8 mile mark.
Yeah.
So that's. You're gutted for Panning, but at least he was able to give it 110, give it everything he's got, and he knew he didn't leave anything out there. Scott, he's gonna kind of go back and think,
We go to Boston or something like that.
I was fit and I was just having some stomach issues, and so.
You feel for Elkanah Kebet a little bit?
He thought he had it. He saw the finish line and he was in 3rd place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel for Elkanah Kebet. It's such an interesting spot where when you see Panning fading and you're trying to close that gap. It looked like Kebet had it, and then to get passed by Courier at the end. It's so it came down to a kick in the marathon, which especially in these kids, it's absolutely brutal. But I don't really feel for anybody besides Panning. He deserved that spot.
What did you think of Jess's reaction afterwards? I feel like you normally think someone who just misses making the team, if there was a half mile more, she might have had it.
Right.
But she seemed pumped.
Oh, I loved it. That was so cool. And just knowing her story, kind of taking time away from the sport, coming back to it in a way that felt natural, that she was excited about as a working professional and everything. I absolutely love to see that. I don't necessarily know that she would have come into this race having any expectation of finishing in the top 5. And so I think there is something really beautiful about that, defying your own expectations and finishing so close to making an Olympic team. That's a really inspirational, cool story.
It's sort of like an extra lifeline. It was extended. It was I was just back in the sport to qualify for the trials and then use this as a victory lap. But it's no, actually wait, now I have a chance to actually get back into it. The marathon's my event. I can compete against the best Americans and potentially some of the other best marathoners in the world.
CJ Albertson, we got to tell. He came on incredibly strong at the very end. He might be going back after this and kind of thinking, if I ran that a little bit differently, I might have done a better job being able to actually put myself in the race. He had a great. It was a great race, but at the same time, maybe he kind of his strategy or just maybe mistimed it a little bit.
Now, if you're one of these athletes who just missed, I'm thinking a Jess or a Sara, an Elkanah, maybe a Zach, some people who've done well on the track before. Do you consider going to that 10K and trying again?
I don't know, because it's like the guys running the 10K now are closing in like 52, and like that's a different kind of leg speed that these guys are gonna have to try and find between now and your next big opportunity to get the standard or get your ranking up high enough for the track is the 10, which is in a couple weeks. So many of these guys have been all in on this thing. It's hard. Track speed, like you're up against Grant Fisher and Woody Kincaid and Joe Klecker.
Yeah, I mean, are any of these guys going to make the team in the 10? No. But will they want to go and probably be at the trials and race a 10? Yeah, and they should do that. Great experience, fun. I mean, so I'm sure you will see a lot of these guys who barely missed it just go back and do that.
It's just we saw that with Sisson 4 years ago, which she had a disappointing trials, dropped out, and then comes back on the track and dominates it. So I do think that there is a potential for some athletes to, if you're really gung-ho about making the Olympics and you don't care what event, to maybe try to shift focus a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect we'll see that on the women's side. Yeah.
The women's side, I think the interesting person who could shake things up, because you're so used to seeing Natasha Rogers, Alicia Monson, Elise Cranny. We haven't seen Kira on the track in a bit, and she's got some of the foot speed from those workouts that, like, all right, like she could be one of those people who turns it around. Sarah Hall, what's a ninth trials, like, right?
I mean, Natasha Rogers is probably the perfect example.
Yeah.
Because she's done it. She's made the last 2 track teams. She came out here, she tried to make it in the marathon. It didn't work out. She's still ranked high enough and has proven recently that she can compete on the track. So if I'm her, I put the marathon in the back pocket for a little bit and get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. On the women's side, it's slightly different. Like Natasha has a great shot, and you can almost look at this as just a great, winter buildup of base mileage to kind of spring forward into the track season. But it's just different on the men's side.
We've got less than 6 months till Paris. What do you do now between? Okay, you put so many chips into this. How do you then? Do you take your 2-week break, and when does the build-up start?
I think you take a 3-week break, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't race another marathon.
No.
I think you get a fast half in at some point in this spring, late spring, maybe June to really tune it up for the race. But it is a lot of time. That's the thing. Like, maybe you do a quicker turnaround and you run a fast half, take some more time off, and then do a build-up? I don't know. Like, it's a lot of time.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting, too, to see the variety of ways that people approach the marathon. Like, that's kind of a novel situation, turn around and compete on the track in the spring. But, I mean, I'm sure there's as many ways to do it as there are people who have done it, right?
All right, so just for the people as we wrap up here, let's go through the top 10 results. We got Fiona O'Keefe for the win, 2:22. Emily Sisson right behind her, Dakota Lindworm, Jessica McLean, Sarah Hall, Carolyn Rotich, another big surprise performance, McKenna Myler, Lindsay Flanagan, Emily Durgan, and Annie Frisbee. Des Linden ran a very conservative race, finishes in 11th. Other notable results, Kellen Taylor in 15th. Jessa Hansen, the debut, Louise Grahalvis picked to win, 18th. Gabby Rucker, 19th. We go over to the men's race. Connor Mance for the win in 2:09.05. Right behind him, Clayton Young by 1 second. They're going to talk about that for the rest of their lives. Lenny Career in 3rd, 4 years after just missing the team. Elkanah Cabet, 4th. CJ Albertson, 5th. Zach Panning grinds it out to finish 6th. Nathan Martin, 7th. Josh Izuski, someone we never talked about.
Had a great race.
Huge run by Nathan Martin.
Nathan Martin also, 2:11 flat. Reed Fisher, 9th. Colin Benny, 10th. Bia Simbas, 11th.
Big run by Colin Benny.
Yeah.
Really
Colin Benny,
run.
who took a full-time job, I think, in between things.
That's a really big run.
Galen gritted it out to finish 16th. But yeah, I mean, what a day. What a day. All right. Well, that does it as we wrap things up here. We had so many people watching on the CITIUS Mag YouTube channel. So thanks again to everyone who's tuned in to our pregame show, our watch-along. We're going to be hitting you with some interviews. We've got David in the mix zone right now. Keep tabs on our Instagram. We're going to be posting a ton of photos there. Lots of content to come from this. Would appreciate everyone who tuned in. Be sure to subscribe for more. I'm Chris Chavez, Eric Jenkins, Kyle Merber, Sarah Sutherland, Mac Fleet behind the camera. thanks so much.
So HOKA.
And thanks to HOKA as well for hosting us this whole entire day. We'll hopefully get to do a lot more with the brand. The CITIUS Cafe closing up shop after an incredible weekend. The road to Paris has begun. We got some tickets punched. We'll see you guys next time.